and welcome to the LCS Challengers League qualifiers. We are here with qualifier number 2, the second Swiss stage, group stage, whatever you want to call it, about to get underway once again. 4 more weeks until our teams are decided for the promotion and relegation tournament, and the first step is right now with our first round of groups. I am Grapes, joined alongside Alk Battery here on twitch.tv/rallycry2, and we've got Group A, their first round games coming your way in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, dude, I'm permanently stuck to the B stream over here, guys. Let me out. No, it's okay. Well, I'll show up. I know I'm on the schedule soon for the first stream, but we're having a lot of fun. We've got a lot of games to go already. We have all of our groups playing. We have also today and tomorrow, so make sure that you're staying tuned on that. And look, I'm going to be honest, our games today are probably not going to be as even. We have a lot of huge seed discrepancies, I think, across the board for these matches.
Oh, don't speak for yourself here, Elk, because we have our 8 versus 9 seed coming up a little bit later today. But in case you are new and want to figure out just how we have gotten to this place at this point in the summer season, we do have a little bit of a rundown to explain to you the format of the LCS Challengers League qualifiers so you can know how you can get on this pathway to pro as soon as possible. This is an open qualification process. All 16 of the teams that you'll be watching here today did submit an application to Rally Cry, and they were seeded by the Amateur Selection Committee based on solo queue rank as well as other factors, and they made it into the Swiss stage, the top 32 teams, and that was cut down to 15. If you had 3 wins or more in the Swiss, you'll be playing here today and tomorrow.
And it's all, honestly, it's just going to keep being wall of text for everybody. The magic number was 3, and last weekend we got mostly all of our top 16. There was one single team who wasn't able to make it, and that's why we have Return to the Middlesticks able to bump on in. They were an 18th seeded team, so not a huge discrepancy there between getting in and not being able to make it. But after that, it was the top 16 teams. They were able to move on into our groups, in which case we have a GSL style bracket. So if you do miss out on your first weekend of play, you don't have to worry. You've got another weekend. You can play another set of rounds, and then you have to make it through the lower side of the bracket, as qualifying for second seed, especially in the second qualifier, is so important. We made the changes so the Cinderella run can be possible. If you do win the second qualifier, you are automatically put as the highest seed possible going into the promotion tournament, and even inside these groups, you will have a small prize for the first seed, getting an additional 10 points.
That is going to be big, especially for some of our top teams, which we'll get to in a little bit. And of course, after you make it through the GSL, you will play in the knockout bracket. Once again, the reminder, if you win the second qualifier, regardless of how many points you earned across either of the tournaments, you will be the number 1 seed going into the promotion event happening at the end of August against the bottom 2 NACL teams, which we now know to be Team Fish Taco and Supernova. As you can see here, the winner of this group will be playing against the second seed from Group D, while the second seed from this group will play against the winner from Group A or Group B, which is likely Team Ambition because of the seeds. So that could, result in some interesting matchups happening in our quarterfinals.
Are you saying you're a hoarder believer?
I'm saying a bit of a hoarder believer. I'm down to believe in some hoarders.
Also, they still have 4/5 of their roster that actually made it to grand finals and ended up winning. So that's fair enough. Fair enough. We can take a look at some of our rosters here that we'll be having a look at. We do have our first match as we have 2 separate best of 3s playing. First up, Return to the Middlesticks, our 16 seed coming into the groups. And these are some names that we've seen kind of bounce in and out of teams, but on the whole, a team that I think is surprising to see here in the groups, considering their tenure here in North America.
This team has stuck together for the second qualifier after barely missing out on qualifying into the first. A really cool story from this squad, Middlesticks, an organization that has thrived in the Tier 3, Tier 4, whatever you want to call it, space. That's not exactly the semi-professional level, but the highest level of amateur. And now with these teams, these players, they were able to upset Blue Otter to make it into the group stage. They're the only underseeded team that was seeded below number 16 by the Amateur Selection Committee going into this tournament that is still around today.
Well, look, they took a few more upsets, obviously, right? They were able to beat Teamless Revenge, which, again, not the biggest seed difference, but still able to punch above that class. They beat CCG in the second round of the Swiss. I think a lot of people were looking at this team, rightfully so. As an organization, they haven't really been able to make it into our groups. They've had a lot of great Swiss runs that have ended very early on. But here and now, I think we have some pretty interesting. I think this is a team that is very likely to potentially have some upset games. I think their Swiss games, looking back, this is a team that, in my opinion, in like maybe 55% of other universes, they end 4-1. They were very close and very competitive in the Komodo series against Team Ambition, like up to 15-20 minutes. They're actually going pound for pound versus that team. So I think people might look at this squad and discount them. There are some promising members here.
Yeah, Cookie Crook hit I think rank 10 at some point in this season. Dragowski of collegiate fame, Puppe, a Super Smash Brothers player, so that's a pretty fun crossover here. And we'll see how they perform against our #1 seed entering the group stage in Mirage Alliance. They have Alorum, Chad, Sudsy, Neo, and Dardoch. Once again, no introduction necessary for this squad. They made a bit of an unfortunate run where they actually did drop to Team Ambition in the semifinals in what was a crazy series, but this is a roster full of talent, front and back.
They replicated a double 5-0 Swiss, something that we haven't been able to see in our new qualifier system, so congratulations to them. And now they've got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I know that they were a bit miffed that they got second seed after going out in the semifinals, like we were talking about. I know, even talking to some other players on different teams, they themselves were a little bit surprised to see Mirage Alliance and maybe attributing their loss against Team Ambition more so to them tripping themselves up than necessarily Team Ambition. Obviously, Team Ambition are not going to feel that way, so we'll see how TA are able to fare. And this is a team that, looking at the roster, we expect them to be first. We saw that in the first qualifier, that they were very heavy favorites to win the entire tournament, and now here in the second, they need to step up. They need to make grand finals, and at least on points, they should be good if they're going to continue that run, but we do need to see them start to shape up as we get closer to the promotion tournament.
The only way that this team does not make it to the promotion tournament is if they horribly bomb out and probably don't even pick up a single series, combined with, having some additional situation where people win the entire tournament, knock other people out. There's a lot of things that will have to happen for this team to not make it, and we are expecting them to do so. And now the question is, how well can they perform and how clean can they look before they play against the bottom NACL teams where there might be a little bit more competition. But this matchup is our highest seeding discrepancy, and we have asked the rest of the talent to kind of take a look at what their prediction will be, and it looked like all of we're gonna get the predictions in a little bit. Actually,
okay,
now
good.
That I'm taking a look.
I was gonna say, yeah, those predictions are not gonna be very favorable to Return of the Middlesticks. I'm so sorry, everybody. Look, I want to have hope. I think that this team could potentially take a game off of Mirage. We've seen Mirage definitely stumble, especially with how early in the morning it is. And they are also a good team. So I know we were talking about this before air. I think that this is a team that could take potentially 1.5 games. But that doesn't matter. The half game doesn't matter in a game of League of Legends. It's all about actually finishing out. I want to see what Mirage can do, but Return of the Middlesticks, there is absolutely no pressure on you in this match. This is the first game of the groups. Show us what you got.
The other teams, Komodo and Gentle Hearts, will be watching this one closely because they will be playing against one of these teams, depending on the result of that series that will happen later today. We are on to the draft for game #1. Mirage Alliance opting towards blue side. They're going to lock in that Kaisa. We are on patch 13.13, which means we're going to see some different picks than what we saw at the beginning of the qualifiers this summer.
And if you've been watching Pro, you know exactly what's going to happen. Rel should be the next pickup here. Return of the Middlesticks actually having a lot of reliance on this champion. This has typically been their 1-2. Now the Poppy usually here for Dragowski is definitely something that we have seen. Although going for the LeBlanc immediately, I'm interested to see what Sudsy should be able to pick up, because now we have Poppy. Tristan has already been taken away, which Sudsy has been playing a ton of. And I'm interested as to what we're going to get out of the mid lane matchup, just because Sudsy has, I think, tackled the mid pool in a very interesting and different way than a ton of other mid laners we've been seeing.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like he was playing champions like the Tristana even before it was really super meta. Like, that's
Yeah.
something that Sudsy has been doing. Promoted into the NACL in the spring split, and actually has the opportunity to do it again here in summer if things go right for Mirage Alliance in this qualifier. Chad's going to lock in that Poppy, as you said, Alk. We'll see what ends up getting selected here. I would not be surprised to see Sudsy lock in a mid laner for himself, but you could also round out your bot lane here with something for Dardoch.
Potentially true.
Oh!
It's Tempo's time. We've been making a joke that they haven't been able to wake up because it's 10 a.m. and it's really early. So maybe if they have the Time Lord, they can kind of like fast forward to it being 1 p.m. and they're ready to go. We'll see. I think the cool thing about Mirage Alliance is that we have seen them go back to more of the default standard, as we have seen them, aggressive picks like the Poppy for Chad, his Graves as well. They are also a team that does tend to experiment a little bit. We saw in the Swiss Chad actually pick up the Karthus, which I think is a big kind of detract or kind of go away from a lot of the standard that we see from this team. And for Return of the Middlesticks, they're more interesting champions do come from the top lane. Cookie Crook, while he is ranked 12 on the ladder, definitely has a bit of a different champion pool. He's able to pull out the Tryndamere like we saw in Swiss. He had the Darius performance early on up against Teamless Revenge. So I'm very interested to see what we get from the two top laners here, as Alorum has been known to have a very unique and wacky champion pool.
Urgot still available. If the right matchup ends up coming through, like a Gwen or something like that, maybe Alarm will end up selecting that one. We're also seeing jungle target here for Mirage Alliance with a Lilia takeaway towards Brigowski. So you can see, Akshan and Lilia are not necessarily champions you would expect to be in the circulation in a regular competitive League of Legends game, but with the champion pools that Sudsy and Dragowski have, causes some mayhem.
They're setting up for a Gwen here. They're setting up for Rumble. Like, this champion is just too disgusting on the patch right now. I don't know how much Rumble you've played against, Grapes, on this patch.
I played a little bit.
Okay, this champion is disgusting. I played this champion, and I have not played Rumble in like 8 to 12 months. This champion is just not okay. We need to fix this champion, please. I thought the 150 heat was going to be cringe, and then I didn't. Then I saw that they kept the overheat at 50.
Yeah, because now
I
you
was like,
perma have
remove this.
Your overheat, like 90% of your abilities. That's fun. Also, your E gives you 20 heats. You can literally QWE, and then you're just set for like the rest of the game.
It's so disgusting. Yeah. This champion is ill. I need this champion fixed, please. Rumble plus Rel is one of the worst combos to play against in the game.
Well, it looks like they're not going to be opting for that here. Middlesticks instead going to be selecting an Ivern for Dragowski in jungle. So a little bit of extra utility. They do have a lot of damage with Puppy's Aphelios and Max's LeBlanc. Now Mirage Alliance, I don't know if Alarm would play this Rumble. Is not really a champion that, in my head, is associated with him. Could be switching things up, though. Okay, so the Xayah lock-in signifies that Zilean is going to be going towards support, and Sudsy will be piloting the Kai'Sa.
Could I interest you in Zilean mid lane?
I mean, you could, but where's this Kai'Sa going then?
It's Kai'Sa. Oh shit. This champion is so. Wait, maybe they pick another champion. Okay. Oh. Wait! It's Poppy Top! Of course! Allure with the Poppy Top! How did we forget about this?
That, should have crossed my mind, but it did not. And so now we get Rengar against Ivern, which bit of a counter matchup for the Ivern. You place your bushes, and it just makes it so much easier for Chad to play the game. And now Poppy here for Alorum has a bunch of matchups that can prove difficult, but that is something that Alorum has been able to do. Take these bad matchups and make them not as terrible. Gonna be a tough task, though, against the Cookie Crook Darius, as that's gonna round out what's been a fascinating Game 1 draft.
Oh my god. Okay, we're getting some fancy stuff here. I'm glad that we're getting a little bit of some spice here the first game, because I remember, and I'm sure you remember, the horrible days of 13-11. Those were very long broadcast days, even if the games were very short, even if we got 4-0s and 8-0s in our top 8. Those drafts were horrendous. Jesus Christ, I do not miss that patch. We've got the top lane matchup we were kind of setting up, that Alorum and Cookie Crook were going to kind of deviate from standard. And I think the lovely thing about this is the fact that Alorum, the way that he gets around some of these bad matchups and being able to kind of avoid some lane, is he has really good wave management. His ability to make sure that he's not playing towards the opponent's conditions, I think, is really, really smart. We obviously have him pegged for a kind of non-standard top laner. So in that sense, you do need to have a really strong understanding of what the opponent wants to do. I'm looking forward to this because not only are Return of the Middlesticks coming in with an interesting draft, I actually think that they have a pretty strong set of conditions to end up potentially taking the game.
I feel like we always see Chad Rengar, and we're always super excited to see Chad lock in Rengar. It's a champion that he's gotten really high ranks in solo queue with. That was when he was in the tier 3 space originally with 100 Thieves. He was whipping it out. Haven't always been super impressed with it, so we'll see if this actually ends up being a better. The double marksman comp means that Mirage Alliance has a lot of damage to work with, even if it's not just the Ivern, or sorry, just the Rengar in the jungle. So that is what we are going to be looking at. A lot of scaling, team fighting around for both of these squads. I think we're honestly, Return of the Middlesticks, maybe a little bit more well-rounded.
Yeah, for sure. We can take a look at our predictions that we were setting up for earlier. Like I said, not going to be very kind to Return of the Middlesticks. Yep, okay, so we're 6 for 6 on this one. Everybody, including Collegiate Jesus Travesty over there. As soon as I saw this headshot, that's the only thing I could think about, man. Like,
Collegiate Jesus. Well, looks like he's not backing with FSC jungler Dragowski here this time, instead favoring both over from USD. So, yeah, looks like we're all in line with the number 1 seed. However, you do have to remember it is 10 a.m. Pacific time, and that has been the, I don't know, Achilles heel for Mirage Alliance. Take a look at their records overall. They are 5-1 in games that have been played after 10 a.m., so 11 a.m. or later. They are 2-2 in games that are played at 10 a.m. So if you're looking at just like, you know, pretty small sample size, but the numbers as a whole, maybe Middlesticks have a good chance.
This is incredibly cherry pick stats. I love how we always make the joke that stats don't tell the whole story, but in this case, they tell a very interesting one. And you could talk to all the Mirage people. We've had interviews with Chad, with Sudsy, that like this team is not used to playing at 10 a.m. At least for the LCS and the Challengers League players, they are not used to necessarily playing at the schedule. I think the ones who have been able to be the most immune are the players that we have seen here in Challengers League qualifiers, which are Alorum and Sudsy, and even Dardoch to a certain extent playing on some collegiate rosters. So like they are okay. The person that, in my opinion, has been the most immune to this has been Neo. We were talking about this before we got on broadcast, but he has played consistently well in almost all of their games, making almost no mistakes, at least not as many as some of his opponents. So when we're looking at this team, it has always been, we are looking at bottom lane. And the big thing is you do have a jungle transplant in Dardoch. Dardoch wanted to play alongside Chad, playing in the support role, and it is very obvious, I think, especially for some of our support players who are watching, Summer included, that Dardoch in this role is probably not as proficient as some of the other players. However, support in North America is not the strongest, and our pool not the best. So I'm thinking that if you could kind of smurf as a jungler in this role, it is just like, it is so free.
Yeah, I mean, just the talent alone of a player like Dardoch should in theory be enough to get the steal position. There's been a lot of conversations about how stacked this talent is, how stacked this roster is for Mirage Alliance. I think a lot of people probably just mark Neo as the best player in the entire tournament going into Summer Split. Now that we have another player on Cold Hearted in the league, that might be a bit of a conversation that we can get into as we get towards the games tomorrow. But the talent on this team has really been good. The question is, can we see them perform as consistently as we want them to going into the promotion?
And I mean, even we can kind of back up a little bit in terms of what this group looks like. This is obviously going in. We're looking at Mirage Alliance versus Return of the Middlesticks. On the opposite side of the bracket, it's Komodo versus Gentle Hearts. Who in terms of points, Gentle Hearts are actually the closest ones. They have 65. Currently, the bottom of the top 4 with Lit Esports is 105. So when we were talking about, is Mirage Alliance ever going to be threatened with potentially not making it to the promotion tournament? It would take, like you were saying, a bombing out of groups and then Gentle Hearts rising up to the occasion and really starting to boot up some of their points as they were the Cheese Chasers in the last qualifier, making top 8 there. I think is a really strong group, and one where when talking to some of the Return of the Middlesticks players, they think this group is playable. Like,
yeah,
I know public sentiment is probably not going to be on their side, but you've got one fan, at least on the broadcast team, and it's going to be me. I'm going to believe in Return of the Middlesticks. This is going to be my dark take. This is definitely going to be one that I am probably going to get burned on in most instances, but I think RTM have a very real chance of making it out of this group. Komodo are inconsistent when they want to be, and Gentle Hearts Gaming, same thing. The fact that they came out 3-2 and were almost not able to make it in. Wait, let me just make sure on the 3-2 part because I have them set up. Yeah, okay.
They were all 3-2.
They were 3-2. Okay, yeah. So like, there is a very real possibility with where we see from Return of the Middlesticks, where Puppe is playing very well, Dragowski's able to hold it down in the jungle, and we're seeing more and more unique tank play coming out from the top side for Cookie Crook and some of his champions. I think it's playable. I think this is a real group for them to be able to make it out.
You look at the seeding, 8, 9, and 16. Oh, maybe Return of the Middlesticks is pretty behind in that regard. But you look at the record that they've had in the Swiss bracket, all 3 of these teams, except for Mirage Alliance, they all went 3-2. So in theory, they all won the same number of games. They all lost the same number of games. The only reason they're seeded in this way is because of the way the Amateur Selection Committee, or the NACL Selection Committee, I should say, ended up placing them overall in terms of power rankings. And I will say, this Middlesticks team did not have the most expectations compared to some of the other teams in this group. Gentle Hearts with Scooped, Komodo with Doxa. I mean, this is definitely, these are definitely squads that people have a lot of expectations for. And the way that they've been playing and the way that Middlesticks has kind of impressed people, I think I agree. This could be a bit of a 3-horse race, as long as Mirage Alliance is the one to actually stay on top of everyone else.
It'd be really funny. I think Return of the Middlesticks has could do something incredibly hilarious today if they choose to. If they just choose to win. It would throw off the entire bracket, Mirage Alliance, and imagine a world where we see Mirage Alliance in the lower side of the bracket. GG for the rest of the squads. I know we're talking a lot about Return of the Middlesticks and their ability to actually come back. My one caveat is the fact that our Swiss was best of 1, right? Anybody can take a best of 1. I think that's part of the format. I think that's part of why maybe some teams may have gripes with that, and that's why we actually end up seeing teams like Gentle Hearts Gaming not able to go the distance in a series, not able to have the best performance from game to game. They are a team that can be a little bit spotty. I think we saw that in the Cheese Chasers last split or last qualifier. So same thing with Komodo, but in a best of 3, we're able to kind of go, I don't want to say the full distance, but you can make a little bit of a sprint. There is definitely some room for you to kind of play around, and I am looking for what Mirage Alliance can put up forth, because they were a team that undefeated in the Swiss in both rounds. They then lose 1 game to CB, but then go on a bit of a run. We thought going into semifinals, we were going to keep seeing our top seeds really start to dominate. They obviously stumbled there in the semifinals. They are looking to make a revenge tour. They are looking to make it on through, go all the way to the grand finals yet again. I think our expectations shouldn't change all that much. And as much as I want to hype them up for RTM, this is definitely still an uphill battle.
Yeah, and we're saying like, oh, they were so disappointing. Mirage Alliance, like, they failed us. They didn't meet our expectations. They still made the semifinals, but that just goes to show how much expectation we had for this roster of players going in. The expected probably number 1 seed for everybody in the space that watched this roster get announced, and they missed out on semifinals, and they missed out on getting to the grand finals. They lost in the semifinals, and again, a pretty close series, but still it would be a bit concerning for them, and we'll have to see them play against Return of the Middlesticks to start their Qualifier 2 journey off correctly. However, we have unfortunately realized a bit of a technical difficulty that is happening on our production side. So before we get into game, we'll be taking a short pause. Once we get back from that, have gameplay on your screens. We'll see you in a bit. The summoners and died first blood. There's still a couple of you know, we're trying to get the stream underway, but okay, that's the first kill going over to Mirage.
Look, at least we got the first 2 minutes and not making it past 10, okay? We're making improvements here. Now they are playing to opposite sides of the map here. We didn't get to talk too much about the draft, with how fast everything was going and, you know, how many cool things we were able to see. There is some ability for ROTM to actually go for split push. We've been talking about it. LeBlanc, if you've been watching the last couple of months of competitive, Static Shiv is still very strong. Is obviously nerfed on this patch, but is significantly still a pretty big player in most matches. And when we get into team fights, I think it'll be very interesting just because you do have this enchanter in the jungle. We're talking about how powerful Ivern has been, even by himself, just being able to actually be a pretty potent duelist with Daisy. But those brushes are going to be very problematic. And so I actually really like that not only do we have the Poppy, but we also have this Zilean to really try to face check some brushes and make sure that no one's going to be in there. It's obviously a more AP variant. It gives you some options of, you know, walking in without necessarily tanking up a Daisy or a really good Rel engage.
Yeah, I think overall the composition works well for Mirage Alliance, and we're seeing right now them getting a little bit hammered in that bottom lane as NACL loses about 30% of his HP. We haven't seen a ton of Zilean in at all this season.
Nope.
So, you know, Dardoch, I guess, you know, wanting to play as many champions as possible. You remember back in LCS, he did that whole thing where he played like a different champion for each of his first like 15 games. Maybe we're going to see that again in the qualifiers.
My God, I don't even. That's crazy. Actually, I forgot about that. You know, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm trying to see. Do you know how many Zileans have been played, at least in Trackable by Gold GG? Games of Legends.
You mean this year? I have no idea.
Yeah, this year there have been 5.
That is not a lot. I feel like
and all of them in, or at least most of them in ERLs. I just want to, yeah, like there's LFL Division 2. Elite Series, which is I'm pretty sure I'm not even gonna guess this region, man. Like, this is just insane. The fact that like there has been no top tier play of Zilean is definitely a different champion and does require your team to play a little bit differently. But you think about the matchups, right? Like, you give it to someone like the Poppy, you give it to someone like any of these AD carries, even Chad can use that movement speed incredibly well. The slow, the bomb, and the ultimate is honestly just game breaking. I forgot who on our broadcast team was talking about this, but I think the Zilean point is actually pretty relevant, that like this champion, it was Rude, so no one that, you know, is on the show, but is definitely a friend of the show. I'm talking about that Zilean is just a better enchant, like one of the better forms of an enchanter, because he has such an important early game, late game. Oh my God. Okay, what is happening, guys? What is happening, guys?
crash that as well. Has no way to escape and will go down to Dragowski. Now Boy Wonder also going to land in onto Chad, make it 2 kills for Return of the Middlestick.
Let's go, Return of the Middlesticks! We did it, boys! They were able to make a really good engage, and one of my criticisms from the Swiss is the fact that Boy Wonder wasn't really able to move out of the bottom lane. Whether it was because Puppe and them were really starting to get into a lot of fights, but that was an incredible timer for him to be there, and a good punish against Mirage Lions, who were trying to get aggressive, trying to use this Kai'Sa. You need to have items on this champion. This is a champion that relies so heavily on getting your spikes, on having those Qs. That is a very, very good time for them to take the trade, especially when we're talking about how important this matchup is for our TM. When we've seen the LeBlanc versus Kai'Sa, it is all about that ability to, whenever LeBlanc goes in, especially because it is this AD kind of slash variant, it isn't that all AP burst. This is about trading with your Kai'Sa procs, with those plasmas, incredibly fast. And a great job coming out from the side of our RTM, getting some good early gold for them. Now we do need to see how they actually are able to utilize this. A lot of focus is going into mid lane as we see Dragowski is just constantly sitting in this lane. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Well, Dragowski, they found another kill there. They're actually just gonna solo kill Chad. They're actually just gonna get another kill. Let's go! Okay, guys, we got a game on our hands. We talked about how Mirage Alliance do not find a lot of success in their first game, but they're having so much issue trying to kill this mid lane right now. And on the opposite side, we talked about how consistent Mr. Neo is, and they're able to pick up a 2v2 kill up against Boy Wonder. We are currently having some production issues trying to get Grapes. Grapes is currently getting completely mic gapped at this point. Yeah. I feel for him.
Okay.
We got you back?
I could be back. And okay, so yeah, we watched that play happen. And Dimitri,
yeah, what's up?
Middlesticks, they're doing it again. They're gonna pull off the upset. versus.
Now I wonder, on all the post-game threads, you know, on the game after the game, if people are going to try to tell us again that this was just a fluke, right? It's a solo!
Oh,
no,
okay.
No!
Deep breath. Max almost got a solo kill there onto Sudsy. He had to use the killer instinct to keep himself alive. Middlesticks in a great spot right now. They're starting up this Herald. Mirage Alliance going to try to contest it.
Right, like mid lane is taking a recall, even with your support coming back. Max is in such an awkward position. Does have the red buff, so is definitely going to be able to scale into this.
Oh man!
Again. I don't know if that's someone you want to.
Yeah,
knock.
Daisy's gone, but Boy Wonder already down as well, and Chad will jump forward for shutdown onto Max. That is already 2 kills going over to Mirage Alliance. Now Cookie Crook gonna get locked up here by that Q, and Neo will take him out as well. And Mirage Alliance find a big fight in Middlesticks. They overextend.
Okay, we can calm down now. Mirage Alliance have woken up just a little bit. They don't want to take any more disrespect. One thing that I will say is you just got to be able to cut your losses. That was just not their timer for Return of the Middlesticks. I think one of the things that I really liked about their team coming in was that their ability to just kind of handshake and say, look, we're going to lose this objective, but we're going to try and trade on the opposite side of the map and try to go for different timers. But unfortunately there, really kind of trying to go for it all in, you had lost the timer because you had Puppe having to take a reset, having to go and walk all the way from base. That just should not have been the play for them, spending a little bit of their gold. Now they are getting a small advantage here, but by missing out on some of these plates, this is a small timer, I think, for Return to the Middlesticks to actually kind of calm the game down. Dragon is still available to them, and they've actually forced some different lane rotations here from Mirage Alliance, and they are first to the play.
They'll have the option to start this Dragon up. The Chad is still in base, so be a good opportunity here. But no, Dragowski actually going to take a recall of his own, pick up that Moonstone. So they're going to try to slow the game down just a little bit more, not even attempting to go for that Drake. And maybe that's just a sense of how they're feeling the game state is right now. About a 2,000 gold lead going Mirage Alliance's way. It'd be tough for them to lose out on a fight.
Well, now they'll be able to reset here, and look at what Cookie Crook is doing. I think the thing for Mirage Alliance is the fact that this topside matchup has gone completely awry. Like, he got the first blood going onto topside, and then Cookie Crook died in that last fight, and it doesn't have any summoners, so the mythic items, or just being able to have a completed item over your opponent, is providing very difficult for ROTM to actually play around this topside matchup. I love how they're setting up for this. Dragowski is on the top side here and just looking for some extra camps, knows that there's no bottom side camps, at least not going for the Krugs to try to steal. But you see how Rengar is setting up on the bottom side of the map. They have this Rift Herald so that they can get their most important member, this AD carry, getting the first turret at 11.5 minutes, and they can very easily move over to this dragon because they have those double marksmen like we were talking about.
Yeah, they're able to shred these objectives. You see Sudsy already making his way down towards the bottom lane. They're not even going for the dragon. They're going for the fight. Double bomb from Dardoch, and Puppey is just dead. Boy Wonder about to go down as well. There comes the flash from Neo with the Featherstorm to pick himself up a double kill as the tier 2 turret continues to be under threat. 4 members of Mirage Alliance still trying to fight out Max. He has to use the distort to get away, but looks like they're going to care all too much. The Zillion ult onto Chad to keep himself alive as the tier 2 turret goes down.
That is, again, one of the issues, and one of the cool things when we see Dardoch on this Zillion. It is certainly something that not a lot of teams are going to get practice unless you're playing against the ISU Redbirds and Tempos is going to be on the squad, but it's definitely unique, as well as when you're playing such an immobile AD carry like this Aphelios, who isn't going to be able to pick up the Gale Force very early on, wants to try to go for the Kraken Slayer. That slow is a death sentence. Immediately, you lose on all of your movement speed, then you're getting hit with a double bomb, so the stun is there, and you're setting up for Neo to be able to have so much early poke and being able to set up for the AD carry. Great job from Mirage Alliance. They get 2 turrets there, so not only do they injecting massive amount of gold into their back pockets, but I think is a little worrisome for them as they'll never really be able to revisit this lane. This is the one part that I think is a little bit of a problem, but they're sending Sudsy there. They're just going to let Neo and Dardoch take over this mid lane and take control of the rest of the map through their influence.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the bot lane once again. This is something that we kept harping on going into this game. Yeah, the rest of Mirage, they can have their happy gaming moments, but Neo has been so consistent throughout, and Dardoch on the Zillion helping him out a ton on that last play. Been really good at the enchanters. We've been talking about how Dardoch has had a pretty wide champion pool, but I think he looks his best. He's helping Neo out, helping his marksman carry, and Zillion's another example of how you can.
Engaged champions are hard, man. I played not. Oh, actually, let me not say that. I'm the CEO of Nautilus. Like, I'm actually. I will save North America with this pick. I will save them all the way in Emerald Low. I'm Mickey on and missing on this champion. Like, this is it's just not true. It's just not real. Like, I'm hitting hooks that honestly dodge out on the Matrix.
The point and click R.
The point and click R. No, dude, I don't even. The R is the easy part. Obviously, like I'm landing hooks that some of these pros can't do. You know.
All right. I
don't want to make this about me though. You know, we're talking about the young up and coming North American talent.
That's less you and more the Riot Games hitbox on the Nautilus.
Oh, okay. So now you're gonna discredit my. I feel like I'm on the cast with Dervish again, man.
All right. Well, yeah. the engage. Maybe Dardoch has some different hitboxes than you though, because him on the engaged champions has not looked as good as what we're seeing here in this game. Zillion helping Neo out. He's 4-0-2. Now the rest of Mirage gets to work himself out.
That apprehend just hit my fridge. Okay, let's see it. He's got the bleed stacks. Cookie Crook gets a 400 HP shield because Ivern is a very chill champion. They do get the on the hunt here. Cookie Crook, got to be careful. Okay, so they jump out of the brush. And we talked about some of the mismatch in synergy there that usually we like to see Rengar and Ivern on the same team. Oh. Okay, there's just a kill in the mid lane. They made an engage.
Okay, nice play by Middlesticks. They killed Neo, and now Puppey has red and white going in on the Sudsy. They stun him up, and a double kill for the Aphelios. He flashes away from Alorum, and Middlesticks find a turn that they needed. Boy Wonder forces the flash out of Dardoch, and they get 2 for nothing.
And they get 2, and those are a lot of summoner spells being blown there. Dragowski and Max and Puppey no longer have their flash. Those 2 kills great to kind of even up the game and get some gold in your back pocket, but I think the timer is not amazing. You've now used a lot of your abilities, a lot of the summoner spells, 30 to 20 seconds before the Rift Herald. So now Mirage Alliance should be able to catch this wave, catch it very high. You're going to be coming out of resets, so you will have a little bit of item parity going your way. But they should have first set onto this Rift Herald. I think the more important part here for Return to the Middlesticks is actually how they're going to be able to set up for the Dragon in 2.5 minutes time. They have not been the best in being able to set up vision, very deep vision, so they can go for things like a TP flank or being able to see where the opponents are. And so going up against Mirage, I want to see what their vision setup looks like, because this is going to be so important when you are playing against things like the Rengar.
You know, getting those little picks, that's the start of a turn. The Puppey had a great fight there, getting a double kill. Now has close to 2 items, matching in items with Neo at this point. Of course, Mirage Alliance still in control of this game. They get that second Rift Herald. Going to try to break this mid lane tower open, I assume, as the Middlesticks kind of not in position to fight this.
It's pretty bad, you know. Like, they can wait as well from the side of Mirage Alliance. They are looking to take control of this bottom side jungle. Unfortunately for Return of the Middlesticks, because of what happened in the bottom lane, losing out on those turrets, it is very difficult for Max to actually go very far in the lane. He's playing LeBlanc, so difficult to actually lock this champion down, but we'll get some early chip damage here as all of the engage for Return to the Middlesticks is predicated on what Boy Wonder can do. Cookie Crook trying to go for the 1v1 here up against Sudsy.
Oh, the Decimate does not connect, but they do use the drag back in. Sudsy gonna get knocked up, and there is the ulti. Then Noxian Guillotine sends him to the floor.
And now they open up the map a lot here. Boy Wonder needs to put down vision. They're going to be trying to play for this. Okay, so Boy Wonder gets out. Should be able to just crash down over the minion wave.
Oh, now they can fight for this. Yeah, they set up Neo. Force the cleanse. Max landing a root, not connecting that just yet. Chad jumping in, but Boy Wonder gets taken out.
What is going
Max
on
still
here,
doing
guys?
a ton of damage. The Feather Storm comes through, and Alorum picks up the kill. Middlesticks were not in position to go for that fight, and they will be punished with a double kill onto Neo, and Puppey will go down to Chad as well. Durgowski, the last remaining survivor. That is a 4-0 after Sudsy goes down.
Return of the Middlesticks. What was that, guys? That was incredibly messy from them, trying to pull a bunch of members, just have to cut their losses. That has been where Return of the Middlesticks has faltered a little bit. They have a bit of an all-in strategy where, if one man goes down, everybody's going down with the ship at that point. So Mirage Alliance, they're going to reset. They're going to have some of their backs. Sudsy is able to get back out on the map because he was the first one to fall in that play. After that, it should have just been one and done. It should have just been Cookie Crook saying, hey, look, thank you for covering for me, Boy Wonder. We appreciate your sacrifice in this instance. I'm going to reset and get ourselves ready for the Dragon. Now coming into this, they don't have the Moonlight Vigil from Puppey. They won't have Daisy in time for this to be able to spawn. The Ferromancy available for the side of Boy Wonder is also not going to be there. So I think uphill battle for the side of Return of the Middlesticks.
They're trying to force an engage here onto Neo, but he just does not die. Zooming his way through the entire Middlesticks team. Cookie Crook will go down as well. Sudsy getting the second kill of this game, of this fight. And now they can continue to go. Chad just face tanking 1v3. Sudsy gonna jump in as well. Max has to dash away. Looks like he will survive. The killer instinct already used. So just those 2 kills going for Mirage. They spawn the Herald mid.
Oh man. Okay, this is getting out of hand very quickly for Return to the Middlesticks. We had talked about, hey, maybe they have some chances. They had some exciting drafts. They had some really good play in the Swiss. But right now, Mirage Alliance definitely doing their homework, definitely kind of waking up very early on into this game. Already 10:45, so we're getting to that point, like games played after 11 a.m. We're starting to get to that point, and they obviously have a massive lead, 6,500. It's going to continue to grow as they catch more and more of these waves. They're going to get the 3rd dragon or the 4th dragon. Wait, this is only the 2nd dragon in the game. Jesus Christ! What are the timers on these?
They have not prioritized at all. They've been going for fights instead. So.
True. Okay, let's see. Can they actually make this play on a dart? Oh, no, Boy Wonder. No, guys.
Oh, the movement was just too good for Dardoch there. They land the bomb. The Bola strikes on him as well, and Boy Wonder is down for the 6th time this game. Bit of an unfortunate time for the Rel in this matchup, and at the 20-minute mark, the death already on the board. Mirage Alliance gonna head towards Baron.
Nothing really for them to do. Now, I don't know how much you're able to keep up on the B-Stream lore here. Grapes, but we have been known to have Baron steals. We had more Baron steals than actual Baron takes. Since he has ultimate, can very easily engage onto Puppey.
Oh, Sudsy
okay, goes
dash
for
in.
it.
Yep, Puppey is just dead. Max for the kill back onto Sudsy. The empowered root does connect, but not enough damage to take him down. Now Chad gonna jump forward. The Baron is the second concern for Mirage Alliance, as they just want all the blood in the world as Max gets stunned up and taken down 17-7 as Mirage Alliance win another fight.
All right, guys. We set up a lot that Return of the Middlesticks could do something here, and Mirage Alliance are calling the casters, myself, frauds. This is not looking good. My Return of the Middlesticks stocks are plummeting as we speak. Mirage Alliance, they want no part of that. Again, we talked about the revenge tour for them. We said that they were very upset with their performance in the first qualifier here in summer, falling in the semifinals. Cookie Crook is going to get absolutely spaced to oblivion. That's going to be another kill going over to them, 18-7. I was going to say it was going to be like the seed discrepancy between these guys, but we are long past that number.
That's what we call a good death for Cookie Crook. He got the tier 2 turret, so it's worth it.
True.
Gets a little bit of extra items. Gonna give him a pentakill later on. So that's what we gotta hope for right now for Return of the Middlesticks. Their front to back, honestly, is not too weak, but they haven't found the opportunities to do that. Mirage Alliance have been putting their foot on their throats, just continuously going for fights, finding opportunities where Middlesticks out of position, and that has been very unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to play a front-to-back versus a 3-item Zaya at this point.
Not anymore,
Not anymore. And the tanks are just going to get tankier, right? Like, Alorum is on his way towards a third item here. Chad, very close to getting his third item as well. So, Return of the Middlesticks, this is kind of it in terms of gold. I don't think you're going to have any more meaningful comebacks in terms of being able to get a third item. Puppey is a very long ways away from finishing a Bloodthirster, and Boy Wonder, unfortunately, has been the kind of the recipient of a lot of death. He has been caught out in a lot of positions. Not a lot of reinforcement coming out from the side of Return of the Middlesticks here. So defense onto the inhibitor line. Oh my god.
I mean,
they got Dardock all right. Like,
yeah, I mean, that is fair. Sudsy and Neo, we're tanked down pretty low. Puppey is still a strong Aphelios in this game. This is a champion that he's been known to play throughout the summer split. And doing okay at it so far, but now down a pretty significant amount of gold. He's a little bit more fed. That might have been a couple.
If this game wasn't 10,000 gold, I would say yes. Okay, maybe they find this pick onto Alorum a minute and a half before the dragon.
Oh no! There's the keeper's verdict, knocking both of them away. And Alorum, that's what you do on this champ. Okay, bye.
Okay, well. That hurts. That hurts the soul. That one definitely hurts their chances. Return to the Middlesticks now. They're going to have to pick up some more items here. It is a death stance finishing for Cookie Crook. I think right now, if you are on the side of Return of the Middlesticks, you should be funneling all of this gold into Puppey. Get him to finish his third item and kind of try to make your mark. But they're just trying to... the one saving grace, I think, from Mirage Alliance is that all these waves are not all crashing at the same time. There will be time here for Return of the Middlesticks to farm the mid-wave before they come back down here.
Might be starting a fight before then, though. Max has to dash away. The Praise Seeker, the clone might have actually blocked that damage from taking Max out. But now Mirage Alliance can go in onto this inhibitor tower. They lock up Puppey and take him down. That might be the game, folks. Mirage Alliance going to continue to push forward. Boy Wonder has to flash away. The Featherstorm will come out from Neo, and Dardock will get the last hit onto the Rel. Unstoppable is the Zaya, the strongest member on Mirage Alliance, that they're pushing into the base. 2 members left, and it will now just be 1. Mirage Alliance going to take game 1 of the first series of Qualifier 2.
Yeah, I think Mirage Alliance are definitely not happy with the second seed performance coming out of the groups, or coming out of the selection committee. They had some words to mince with the guys on the team, but wow, what a stomping. Again, it feels weird to say because of how much setup we had, but this is our first seed coming out of the Swiss. This is a team with a lot of experience in Tier 2 and Tier 1. And while, hey, Return of the Middlesticks, you had a very surprising Swiss. You had a team that, even going back to spring, you've been playing, you've been putting in the work. Unfortunately, this is our biggest seed discrepancy for a reason.
Now, Mirage Alliance has a winning record at 10 a.m. Congratulations to them. They're now 3-2.
Let's go.
Amazing. So that is a slight win for them, as they're not going to be satisfied with just that victory. There's still some things that they need to continue to clean up, but they do look poised to take a 2-0 over Return of the Middlesticks if they can keep up that level of play. Before we go, I think we have to, fulfill some obligations before we head to break, as we did not get the chance to thank our sponsors. The NACL qualifiers are brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. You can book any car you want, just about any occasion. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com. We'll be right back with game number 2.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Welcome back, everybody, at the LCS Challenge League qualifiers for game number 2 between Mirage Alliance and return of the Middlesticks. Middlesticks showed some fight at the beginning of that first game, but Mirage Alliance, our number 1 seed, ended up taking it home in what was a pretty dominant performance by a lot of players, but specifically that bottom lane in Neo and Dardoch really taking over.
That was the one area that I was a little bit worried about, not because we haven't seen Pepe and Boy Wonder actually have great performances, but you're playing against Neo, and even though Dardoch is a jungle transplant, he has been able to have some decent performances as well. And so here at the Zillion, I think did a fantastic job. I am very interested now to see what the Game 2 adaptations are for Return of the Middlesticks, because I don't want to necessarily pin it on draft. I actually think that they had some really cool draft edges, as we saw in the game with how even some of it was. Unfortunately, a lot of it came down, in my opinion, to a lot of execution, a lot of the actual communication going on in the team, and maybe their gambler's mindset of we need to all in. We cannot let just a single bet kind of fall through. We need to just go and let everybody go into a team fight. If one man goes down, the whole ship's coming with it. They need to be able to cut their losses. Sometimes, sometimes when you lose, the biggest hit is not the next one. You do not need to fall into that. It's fine, guys.
Yeah, I felt like there were some times where they were a little bit desperate. They were like, we need to continue to keep going. We lost one, but that shouldn't stop us. And sometimes
double down.
Maybe sometimes that doesn't actually end up paying off. You just lose twice the amount of money, and then you're just, without a house or without a home for the rest of the game. And that's kind of what happened there for Return of the Middlesticks. They had some good moments, though, specifically out of their mid jungle in Dragowski and Max. The item on the block worked out pretty well. They got a few kills onto Sudsy, who definitely struggled at the early portions of this game. But after that, it was just kind of positioning errors and kind of lack of decision making that caused them to go down.
I love how jungle focused a lot of these teams are, especially between these two. Dragowski has been a standout member for Return of the Middlesticks when we talk about early action. He does tend to fall behind a little bit in creep, just as he is kind of giving up a lot of his resources for his solo laners, and especially in losing positions as a jungler, it is very difficult to actually get any of your jungle camps available to you. You just have to give up a lot of minions over to your laners and making sure that they're staying ahead with their carries. But even on the opposite side for Mirage, we talked to Chad very early on in the first qualifier, and I loved how he spoke about this team is kind of not necessarily built around Chad, but Dardoch wanted to play alongside him and really kind of gave him the reins. Everybody plays towards his advantage. They actually listen to him a lot, which he wasn't expecting. He thought with players like Neo, Alorum, and Dardoch that there was going to be a lot of him kind of listening to his lanes and kind of going and playing for them. But when he says he wants to invade, his team sets him up for success. When he says he wants to play for this timer, his lanes play for that, and they try to play for that objective. There's a lot of focus going on for Chad, who was an impressive player coming into Tier 2 when we saw him on 100 Thieves and, kind of his rise throughout the Academy and Challengers League. But I think definitely towards the end of his time there were some issues. We talk about it, how prevalent his level 3 pathing was. Now coming back, we need to see the evolution of this player playing now here in Tier 2, playing in the Challengers League qualifiers, right?
And I feel like we have seen that a little bit. I mean, even in that game, it was like a level 3 gank top. We didn't see the specific pathing that Chad underwent, but not necessarily what we're expecting all the time from him anymore. He's able to have a little bit of a different look every game, and we'll see if that continues here in game number 2, or if Middlesticks have something prepared against it, because I don't know. I feel like that one-dimensionalness of Chad is kind of not as prevalent here down in the qualifiers. I don't know if you agree.
I would say a little bit. I mean, the Karthus was cool, but we're still seeing a lot of the similar champions that we actually know Chad for. The Graves, I think Poppy coming back into meta was kind of a saving grace for this team, as he was definitely someone who was playing it even when it had fallen out of favor, even when we were seeing a lot of Maokai and Sejuani. He was definitely more on the Poppy train. So definitely, I think, getting bailed out a little bit here. We're actually see a pretty different draft compared to what we got in game one. The fact that not only are Return to the Middlesticks now on blue side, something that they weren't able to really experience during the Swiss being the lower seed. They constantly were on red side for like 5 games in a row. This will be one of our first times seeing them on blue, and I'm interested to see what their priorities are because they have relied so heavily on Rel and picking up the Tristana, a champion that is super, super strong and one of the most strongest marksmen. I still think Kaisa is incredibly broken.
Might see that response once again. Mirage Alliance did play that in game number 1. The Tristana was banned, though, last time around, and we'll see if it goes towards Max or towards Puppey. Either of them are definitely capable of picking this one up, but as expected, that Kaisa will come through, and maybe a Gragas here, either for Alorum or Chad.
Okay. Well, good disengagement, like you're saying. I love how the flex. This is one of the few teams that actually is able to play a Gragas in the solo lanes, not only just because of Alorum, but even Sudsy's willing to pick it up. We had the nice inside joke that Sudsy's the 5th best Gragas player on the team. So we got baited by Hovers. Maybe we'll see that champion a little bit later on, but Rel is just too strong. Like, this is one of the strongest 1-2s that you can go right now on this patch. Rel and Kaisa by themselves. Kaisa can be played in the mid lane if there's going to be a LeBlanc. You can then even play the Rel inside of the jungle. She's incredibly strong there. Her numbers are just way too good. Like, it is ridiculous the damage amp she has versus monsters. I know they're trying really hard to put her in the jungle, but it is ridiculously so.
Yeah, it's like almost not, like, it should not be in the game. Almost like the Q doing
she has like a 300% scale, like ratio right versus monsters,
and then you hit a champion, and then it just does 0 damage. It does negative damage. It heals them.
That's okay. She just stuns them for 6 years, and the whole team comes in.
I get it. I'm saying there's a different. There's doing bonus damage to monsters, and then there's doing like infinite amounts of damage to monsters. Like you Q the blue buff as well, and you do like 700 damage, which, I don't know if that's, maybe I'm just a hater, but that is something that.
No, it's okay to be a hater versus this champion. This champion is ridiculous.
The Braum, though, pretty good response into the Rel, and we also see an Olaf that can be flexed top to jungle with this composition.
Cookie Crook has been the last known player on this roster to pick up Olaf. There was Olaf top into TA, and Porsche made short work of the Berserker. So we'll see what Mirage Alliance can do there. Picking up the Trundle tells me that this is going topside. We're into this Olaf matchup. It is incredibly strong. You can take very early trades with the Q and taking a bite out of Crime there and getting all of the AD stacks away from him, but also this pillar is going to be very, very important. Good versus Braum, able to stop Tristana as well midair. I think is a very strong pick. And we'll see now what Mirage Alliance are going to kind of show. Whereas Return to the Middlesticks, mid lane again has to be so important. And we're still looking at Max and Dragowski as to what they can actually do.
And for top, and for most teams, this Trundle is pretty easily going into the jungle. Could also see, though, Alorum being able to play this one. This is a pick that has been in the meta for in years past, and Alorum kind of has always kept this in his back pocket as well. One of the multitude of champions that he can whip out. And if it is into the Olaf, as you said, a very, very good matchup for him in the top side. And we'll see what Mirage Alliance decide to end up doing. They have been very flexible in their drafts so far today. They flexed the Kaisa around, they added the Xayah, and the Poppy flex as well, so looks like Middlesticks also doesn't really know where this champion is going because they're banning away Graves and the Akshan here.
This was the same set of bans that they had in the first game, right? So now they have Kaisa and Ziggs, so an extreme amount of range. They have good disengage as well with the Rel and the Trundle. So I think this will be very difficult for Return to the Middlesticks. If they want to try and match range for range, I think you're running out of options and you're definitely going to start getting to some unique picks like a Xerath potentially. So I actually just want to see more engage, specifically long range. I don't know if you're really going to be allowed to go Ornn in this game versus a Rel and a Trundle, but something like a Jarvan potentially could work if you're not going to have that in the jungle. And since there's not too many tanks and you can really itemize for LDR on both of these AD carries, I'm kind of okay with going double or going all physical damage because you will have some crush, not only from the 2 marksmen, but Jarvan, thanks to his Dragon Strike as well, definitely still available.
We'll see what this last pickup is. Talk about Armor Shred. You do get the Wukong here. That Q helping a little bit. That does mean the Olaf likely going into the top lane and leaving Alorum or Chad with this last pick here.
Now, this would be incredibly hilarious if we could potentially get Alorum going up against Wukong, because
yeah,
there's a lot. There's that one meme where Alorum, it's in the server somewhere. I don't know if I can find it. I could probably search for all of Alorum's like chat messages, because I think
that's
he
not a good
posted it.
idea.
But he had maybe not. But he has like the picture of him like as Wukong, and it's very funny. But yeah, I think we're gonna get exactly what we expected here, where Trundle going up towards the top side, Chad actually getting Viego here for the matchup into the Wukong. So Mirage Alliance, they're going to be setting up the pins, right? It is going to be Kaisa and this Ziggs setting up with long range damage, and then whenever they need to turn, whenever they need to find resets, Viego and Kaisa are going to be right into the back line, diving in, trying to find kills.
The only other question was if we were going to see the Kaisa in the bot lane or the mid lane. It looks like it will be Neo playing the Ziggs, because I don't know, for some reason I feel like Sudsy is more the Ziggs player across these two, but Kaisa mid definitely worked well for them in game number 1. We're going to see a lot of push in this bottom lane. The Sivir versus Ziggs, just wave clear after wave clear on top of even more wave clear.
Champion's a bit too disgusting. That's one of the great things. Talking a little bit about Return of the Middlesticks, I know we kind of moved away from the draft there, but for them, they are obviously having to go all in. It is going to be a very easy time for them to actually look for invades in the jungle. So I want to see what Dragowski can actually do, because topside is going to be a bit of a tougher matchup. Could definitely look to path there. Mid lane, I actually think between the mid jungle, this should be a very easy setup for the side of them. They have a Tristana and a Wukong. Kaisa early on is not going to be a very strong duelist until she hits level 6 and is able to get some more of her items, get some of those evolves. And then we're looking at bottom lane. Sivir can just wave clear for the rest of her days versus up against the Ziggs. So this is really focused on that mid 2v2 that we've been setting up. It is Dragowski and Max. What can they do? They had some impressive performances together in the Swiss. Now they need to tie it together if they want to have a chance in this series.
And hey, it was Dragowski and Max that got the better end of Mirage Alliance in game number 1. So it was, yeah, LeBlanc got off to a good start. Dragowski basically camped mid, and Sudsy did not have the greatest time, but it ended up working for them. They have the advantages that they wanted to have. And now on to the Tristana, maybe a champion that can snowball a little bit better than this LeBlanc, can do more consistent DPS rather than serving as that assassin that could help the side of Return of the Middlesticks. There is a lot of physical damage on their side, however, but the front line on the other side, not too strong. So I'm not super worried about that, on top of some of the points you already mentioned involving buying Lord Doms and the like. So
yeah, I mean, the Trundle will be like a fake tank. He'll be a faux tank at that point. He'll be able to use his ultimate, sap some stats. Rel is going to be infinitely tanky. I did want to touch on kind of how these two different champions work between the Ziggs and Tristana. Tristana, both of them are demolitionists, so they take turrets incredibly fast. They have good resets, at least on the side of Tristana, and Ziggs' range is where he tends to find a lot of his advantages. But Tristana is a much more ample and self-sufficient side laner, whereas Ziggs definitely needs a little bit of play around, like needs some vision to be able to play safe. Can definitely just use the ultimate to fix a wave in another lane, can use it as a way to assist and be kind of like a 0.5 member in a team fight, like half of a team member there. So I am looking to maybe see how they play around that, especially if they do get mid priority. Max should be looking to move out of mid as soon as possible. That did change with the mid lane wave that we got at the beginning of the season, but push out this wave, maybe have your jungler come in to clear the wave, and look towards the sides. If it isn't bottom lane, then you're going up towards top side, and this game is going to be going, I think, incredibly fast. Not just because the game that we got in game 1, but when you have Ziggs and Tristana and you start to get a lead, it is going to feel very difficult to come back unless you're able to make picks. They will just take down turrets incredibly fast. So I think moving away from the Dragon, Rift Herald will be having a much more higher priority this series, or this game, than in particular.
Yeah, those towers going to fall very, very quickly if you have the Tristana Ziggs plus the Rift Herald combo. So that, I think, it's kind of adding on to the fact that we did not see a ton of dragons contested in game number 1 either. The first one was taken at like 15 minutes by Mirage Alliance, and that was only because they had nothing else to do on the map. And so that is definitely where we're going to have our eyes, and that is, again, a point where perhaps Mirage Alliance will be helped out a little bit by the fact that they have that winning topside matchup. They have Alorum, they have all this experience on the top side of the map, and they know how to snowball these leads. So that is definitely a good sign for them.
For sure. And taking, again, a bit of a scope backwards, if you are joining us for Challengers League, thank you. But make sure you're also supporting all of our other streams. We've got Rally Cry Official with the other set of group games going on alongside us concurrently. So, ooh, I love this. Oh, they're actually going for a level 1 here. Interesting stuff here. I mean, they have an Olaf. You should be trying to go for this. Braum level 1 is one of the strongest in the game. Oh, and he's just going to queue straight into the Tri-Brush. This is good preparation coming out from Return of the Middlesticks, but going a little bit too early, unfortunately. Maybe they wanted to try to get some early vision. They know where Trundle is, but they needed to try to land a Q. And there is one way that works is you come in from the top side brush instead of trying to sneak in. You have to go around the top lane turret to try to push Alorum down. You land the Winter's Bite. There's a whole level 1 strategy there that they could have tried, but all Alorum does, he walks away, doesn't even have to worry about it, and it does lead for Mirage Line to get some early vision down, try to assess where Wukong will be starting, and it seems like both of them, or I was going to say both of them, they're actually going to opposite sides of the map here.
And it looks like that means that, they're going to try to help the lanes that are, relatively strong early on. The Boy Wonder at the Braum is going to be very useful against Mirage Alliance's bottom lane. Maybe having Dragowski down there early could help out. And as we said, Alorum, Trundle, lethal tempo, going to, make good work of Cookie Crook, who has struggled on this champion in the Swiss stage. You remember that game against Mirage, against Team Ambition, I should say, where he did not have the best time. And so having a Viego up there going to make it a little bit harder.
Cookie Crook has definitely been suffering, at least this series. We talked about how didn't find a lot of success. This is how disgusting this matchup is, especially if you don't land Qs. It is very difficult. You do need your jungler here in a couple of instances. So he is starting topside here for Dragowski and pathing away as well. It's just going to get more and more difficult. You have to lose with a lot of grace, and I think we didn't see a lot of that in Game 1 from Return of the Middlesticks. Hoping for some adaptation here.
Well, and getting the big push, and that is going to be helpful here for Puppe and Boy Wonder. But yeah, across the map, you just need a little bit more consistency out of them to make sure that they don't fall too far behind. And that, I think, is an area where Mirage Alliance maybe struggles a little bit. When they are kind of put on the back foot from the start, that is when we've seen them lose a lot of their games, right? Like that matchup against CB Gaming, where Flex on the Aurelia got super far ahead, or even back to Team Ambition. That Game 1 loss to them was like 25 minutes or so. So we're already seeing some aggression. See right now in the top side of your screen, Cookie Crook going for an invade onto Chad. Just that little amount of pressure could be enough to help him out a little bit.
I mean, he knows exactly where Viego is. That's the important part here. His wave is in a pretty awful spot, though. So definitely just going to have to use this time to be a moving, living ward. It is pushing back to him, so he will have about a minute before it goes back. But we'll need to be worried for Chad. Oh, God. Wait, Trundle has level 4, has flash. Wait, this guy doesn't have flash. Oh, wait.
It's a lot of damage. Guys, the pillar's going to help him out. Yeah, he literally cannot flash away. Flashing in is actually a lore, but he takes an extra turret shot, making it a 1-for-1, and now the wave's actually in a good spot for Cookie Crook to TP back to.
Really good job coming out from Cookie Crook, kind of preying on the mistake. Alorum, I think, just saving the pillar a little too long, and right now all he has to do is just keep this good job from Cookie Crook. This is a massive save for him in such a bad spot. Being able to hold the lane like this stops Trundle from finding those kill angles and those all-ins. Now, there is a ward here and will not get spotted, so Cookie Crook has to be very, very worried as Viego can pop out his brush with a flash W.
Does not end up landing the stun, though, on to Cookie Crook, so he will survive, have this wave shoved into him. And he'll be able to even up the CS gap pretty well. And in the meantime, it is Max and Dragowski getting a little bit push on mid. So Middlesticks have a good response to that play.
Good job, even going mid, like you were saying, getting a trade onto Kaisa, trying to get this first plate very early on. Good job coming out from the bottom side here of Return of the Middlesticks. Oh, they're just oh no, oh god,
Cookie Crook,
no.
Should have stayed under your tower, man. Not going to be a good fight for you. And this time, Alorum gonna get that one pretty easy.
He has to know, like, I respect him for trying to protect his jungler's camps, but this top lane matchup is already as difficult as it is. and you were not really going to be able to do much against those waves. Like, are you going to try and fight the Olaf or the Diego by himself? Probably. Oh my god, no.
Okay.
Oh no.
Boy Wonder in a lot of trouble right now. One more bouncing bomb from Neo takes him out. Now Pape still has both summoners, but has to run away. Nice spell shield to dodge out from that stun. Now, just that one kill going towards the Mirage Alliance bot lane.
Okay. Well, Boy Wonder getting caught out here. There's a reason why not a lot of people are picking this Braum. I think it was pretty interesting. With the Rel as a response, typically we've been seeing a lot of Alistar, but not the case here, and I think rightfully so, getting punished as Braum doesn't have a lot of ways of being able to stop it. Really have to match the crash down with your ultimate if you really want to try to stop her midair. And maybe you kind of are waiting for Winter's Bite and trying to make a play afterwards, but usually just not the case. So a good job coming out from Mirage Alliance just across the board. They've cut out topside here with the matchup that they have for themselves. They know that Olaf is going to be useless for the remainder of this game unless something terrible happens again. And they're even winning the bot side matchup. So from Return to the Middlesticks, the only lane you really have to play for is mid, and even there, you're seeing a bit of a CS discrepancy already dropping a wave here after finding early success with your jungle.
Yeah, even though I feel like we've seen Max in really good spots throughout this game, still Sudsy getting the better hand in terms of CS, and now with additional pressure generated mid lane, he's gonna have to be very careful as Chad and Darda can kind of jump on him at any time. So right now, Mirage Alliance in a very good spot. Their side lanes are doing well, and mid lane, yeah, was staying even, maybe slightly ahead.
They're hanging out. They're hanging out. They're scaling, and as long as Mirage Alliance get an even to advantageous state, they should be looking comfortable. The Return of the Middlesticks are the beatdown in this situation where you're looking to try to destabilize topside. You're trying to make sure that Max can set up and be that demolitionist that we know Tristana to be, but when you're not able to make early plays, and even now, 45 seconds before the Rift Herald, they're not even going to be able to back on bottom side. So either this Rift Herald is going to be a much later start for them, or like Return of the Middlesticks just have to cede this objective. You even see Dragowski playing away from the top side here. He will finish his clear with this Grom. Maybe tries to go top lane to match Diego, but is looking like he is moving away from this. So not going to be able to cover the crash.
Not going to land that stun, but that is a big wave under the tower. Cookie Crook might have a bit of a tough time fighting this one out. It is at least a couple of plates as here comes the Ragnarok. Trying to fight this down to 1v2. Actually chasing Chad away with forcing the Heartbreaker out. The flash forward actually not going to work. One more E would have maybe taken him down, but Chad's able to escape. Now here comes Dragowski with the Cyclone coming back and saving his top laner. They get one. They're going to get two. A shutdown for Cookie Crook.
Great job coming out from Dragowski there. He said as soon as the Wolves were done, he stopped. He stopped himself. We got fights now on bot side as well. Concussive blows are going to land. I think that's going to be the end of the trade. What an insane... Oh my god, mid lane. Wait, okay. I saw it. Kai'Sa was using the ultimate. Tristana had already jumped in. Doesn't have mana. Doesn't have any TP as well. So it's going to be an advantage here for Sudsy. But good job from Dragowski. Able to go into that play. And unfortunately there for Mirage Alliance, they spent way too long on that top gank.
Yeah, even if Return of the Middlesticks didn't know, they knew after, Chad was staying there for 20 seconds, and so Dragowski's able to get back there. Now on the Herald at 1000 HP. Who gets the smite? Don't know just yet, but now the fight's going to erupt in the 2v2. Chad going to get taken down as Cookie Crook will survive, and now they're going to try to chase down Sudsy. A flash pillar out of Alarm going to keep him alive for now, and will pick up the kill onto the Olaf as Sudsy will survive. Now Alarm hitting on to Dragowski. It's going to be pretty easy for him to chase him down until he's the blast cone over. So just the 1-for-1. The Herald, though, goes to Middlesticks.
Good job from Middlesticks, able to make sure that they're playing around Dragowski, who, hey, didn't even get a reset in that last fight, right? Just had to go immediately after that gank, move straight into the Rift Herald. That was a fantastic play from them, and Middlesticks staying even. That's what we saw from them in the Swiss, and that's what we saw from them in parts of Game 1. But they still need to be able to calm down some of their other tendencies, some of their all-in strategies. So now, playing around the jungle, Dragowski has been impressive in some of their games, but really we'll have to put it into overdrive here as items are starting to get completed here for Mirage Alliance. The bottom side, specifically Neo, having some advantage here, and already having 2 plays from the bottom lane is not looking good for them.
10 minutes in, Middlesticks in a pretty good spot. They're even in gold. They have Dragowski ahead. Top lane, ultimate popped here by Cookie Crook because he's trying to chase Alorum out of the laning phase. It looks like that's not going to result in a kill. So at the moment, honestly, the top side doing pretty well. Tables have kind of turned. They're going to use the Herald mid. That's going to be the tier 1 tower going down.
And there's a dragon here as well. You see Cookie Crook immediately leaves this lane. Dardoch is on his way. It seems like they want to try and make this play, as you see Chad here as well.
Here comes the Killer Instinct in. Already the jump away from Max, and I think that will be Dragowski going down as another teleport is utilized by Alorum to ensure that that shutdown comes through in response to the tower going down.
So they'll grab this. They'll be able to even move over into the Dragon Pit. So we'll see how much this mid-tier 1 was worth, at least on the side of Mirage Alliance, who was worth them teleporting, getting a kill as well in the back end, and a shutdown here for Sudsy to really try to, cement some kind of gold lead. He already finished his static shiv, so being able to push versus Tristana will be a little bit easier. And oh my god, no, there's no way that Trundle even finds the 1v1 now.
The subjugate, oh my goodness, those chomps do so much damage, and Alorum is just face-taking the turret. The ghost has been popped. Cookie Cook trying to escape. If he gets another shield, that could be enough for him to turn this fight around, and I think Alorum knows that now. He is the one on the run, as just a little bit too over-aggressive, as Alorum now has to go back.
Good job from Cookie Crook there. Uses the movement speed, using Ghost there to get out. Talked about taking a bite out of Crime there for Alarm. Got very close. I was worried because I see lethal tempo on Trundle, and I start thinking, okay, like his autos are going to be very, very, very tanky, or have an extremely long range to what you're compared to. Now finishing the Divine Sunder as well. It's only going to get tougher here for Mirage or for Return to the Middlesticks, specifically in the top side matchup. Cookie Crook has to just be able to survive, and I think so far he's done an okay job. Obviously, falling to the jungle ganks, not what you want to do, but his actual ability at surviving some of these are very, very, they've been on point. Now we have Mirage Alliance setting up around mid. They really look like they want to try and play in this bottom side river. For what reason? I think it's maybe this bottom side turret.
Neo comes in to try and force a fight onto the bot lane of Middlesticks, but here comes the collapse from ROTM. Teleport in from Cookie Crook. And now with Middlesticks on the offensive, they're going to land the knockup onto Sudsy. That is an easy kill for Max, as now 5 members of ROTM pushing into the bottom lane.
So stopping Ziggs from grabbing this turret is great, but what can you do after this? Yeah, like Dardoch can come over the wall. Alorum is just tanking this turret, so a single kill for a teleport and a turret, not a great trade from the side of ROTM. You can see how much pressure it is to have when you are playing against the Ziggs, when you are playing against a losing top side matchup. They needed to be able to find more, and Ziggs just clears out waves so incredibly fast. Puppet didn't actually have a lot of mana here, so this was a bit of a Hail Mary for them. We'll see what they could do 3 minutes before the Dragon, and I don't even know how much they were able to stop here, right? Because they wanted to try and prevent Neo from getting this turret, but he'll just be able to get this next wave. They'll get more damage onto the turret, and that Satchel Bomb is coming out.
And you saw there on that play, Dragowski flashed forward, trying to land an E into the knockup, but took a while for that Nimbus strike to come through. I think he lost vision of the players on Mirage Alliance. They were able to get to the Fog of War in time, and now Dragowski is going to be in trouble here. The Mega Inferno Bomb comes out and instantly one-shots the Wukong. Now with Transform Chad landing some extra hits onto Boy Wonder, he'll be able to escape. But that's Tower not looking too healthy as another wave marches forward.
They even had Sudsy waiting to dive on this. Okay, like just give up the turret. Return to the Middlesticks, give up the turret. There are 4 people here. You're not going to be able to do anything. Tristana's going to catch this mid-wave. Dragowski's actually going to start losing jungle camps, not only because of these turrets falling, but Cookie Crook cannot stay under his turret. He cannot stay and try to farm some of these waves, actually taking the blue buff away. The sad thing for Dragowski is he's not actually finished his jungle item, I think. So he's not going to even have buff sharing available to him at this point. He still has 8 charges, so is going to be missing out a little bit of this, and that is one of the sad parts about jungle, and one of the parts they're actually trying to combat because of the jungle changes, right? Like, by adding buff sharing, it's supposed to incentivize, like, junglers actually taking their camps. They keep buffing treats as well. Yeah. But it is unfortunate, and then, oh, it's just a solo kill. Okay, Graves, I think this game is,
observers are based
looking a bit...
That was not even close, not even worth looking at.
I'm sad now, Graves. I knew I was pretty worried. I hedged my bets. I said that Return of the Middlesticks could look good, and they are they're making me look bad. They're like Courage the Cowardly Dog right now.
Well, hey, before we go flaming this team, remember they're the 16 seed, and they're up against the team that has not lost a game in the Swiss format. They still are 2 other squads that if they beat out on in you know, Gentle Hearts and Komodo, they can still make it out of this group, make it to the quarterfinals, go on that miracle run. And we've seen some promising things, specifically out of Dragowski in this series, playing a pretty solid game on the Wukong. So it's just looking for the positives from this squad. What can you take away from this series against what is one of the best teams in this league? And then how can you move forward from there as you have some more games incoming?
I'm glad that you're able to get some positives out of that, because usually it's the play-by-plays that have like the really whack takes, and they're just
hey,
like,
whoa,
hey,
whoa.
we're gonna. Hey, I don't want to hear from you, Grapes. We've seen some of those predictions. You know, I watch some Salty run back from time to time. Although you are kind of gapping Hawk in that sense.
Yeah, the Salty bets like, are working. They're working right now.
Yeah, but like, you know, usually. You know, the whole point of like the color casters, I'm supposed to have like these super based, like very analytical takes, and then it's like, you know, it's usually like color caster. Oh my god, what is this engage,
big
guys?
Engage coming out from Dardoch, dash away for Dragowski to keep himself alive, tagging the dash forward, the Cyclone comes out, and actually a good turn, potentially in the wings from Middlesticks. They take Chad out, Max jumps forward, trying to one-shot Sudsy, but he will not go down. And now Alora going to dash forward on the Puppet, take him out. Here comes Cookie Crook, taking out Sudsy, but the damage is just too much. There's too many threats on Mirage Alliance's side. Cookie Crook gets another shutdown, but Alorum is still at full health, going to chase down Max, who still has that flash. It is a 3 for 3, but it could have got a whole lot worse for Mirage.
How does Max still have flash and Buster Shot through all of this? He had jumped straight into the back line. Okay, like, yeah, like this just should have happened. Good job. Gets the Buster Shot out from him. Lorem does not have flash anymore. Was potentially going to be looking under this turret. Good job from ROTM to be able to make that play. They go even in that, and as the team that is behind, being able to go even versus the opponent is a winning trade for them. Puppe went down in that fight later on, but was able to kind of back that up, and now Hex Tech Dragon is up and available. Mirage Alliance are going to be first onto the play. Don't think that ROTM are going to be able to have any say in this objective, but Cookie Crook had a very big say in that fight, which could not be said for the rest of this game. His early game has not been fantastic, and this time around, he's just playing Olaf, so he just runs straight into the backline and takes care of business.
That's what you do on that champion. It's working well for Cookie Crook in that fight. Despite the fact that they were basically in the enemy base, Mirage Alliance only up about 2,000 gold. That's just kind of the swings of things that can happen when you're playing a composition with this Ziggs. The Satchel Charges plus Rift Heralds, they're able to do a lot of damage to these towers. But not really out of the game yet are Middlesticks. They can play well in the front to back. Dragowski and Cookie Crook have the opportunity to help this team win. But for now, it is Mirage Alliance continuing their push. The bot lane tier 2, their target for the moment.
Right now, it is a 3 versus 4 in the bottom side, but Sudsy can push this wave, and any CC lands, and he can join in from another lane. Alorum is going to continue to be a pretty disgusting split push, finishing the Frozen Heart as well. So there is literally nothing that Cookie Crook can do. He's going Death Dance second, not even going to have the Black Cleaver, so a lot of the movement speed that he may have been kind of betting on is not going to be available there. And going against Tristana, being able to stop her from having attack speed if she ever tries to jump in or get close, very dangerous. I think Trundle by himself will be a disgusting piece for Mirage Alliance in their path to victory here. For RTM, their saving graces is the fact that they're able to get the early Herald, the fact that Dragon Soul is so delayed, right? Like, it's going to be about 8 to 10 minutes before we see that be prevalent. So looking at potentially a third item coming in for some of the members here. We talked about Armor Crush coming in for ROTM. Wukong picking up the Black Cleaver now, and obviously had his Divine Sunderer. So, gonna be looking as to how ROTM can actually play fights. They have really good setup for these carries, but it does come down to, hey, the gold lead is kind of big in some of these leads. Like, Neo is already working towards his third item here, and as the Ziggs, he is untouched. His flash is coming up. That is the most important timer for him.
It's going to be really hard to get onto Neo. And honestly, even if you do, there's Sudsy, there's Alorum, there's Chad. Like, all 4 of these players are huge threats for Mirage Alliance. They can 1v9 a team fight if given the opportunity. And that is what is so scary on the side of ROTM. They need to have Max and Puppey at some higher items, some more gold. That hasn't happened just yet.
Setting up around mid lane. Cookie Crook is setting up on the other lane, but Trundle's joined.
Oh,
We're looking
man.
for the engage.
Dardoch flashes forward. Two-man Magnus Farm to jump away, but Neo is down. They burst down on Marksman, and now Sunsy's going to get taken out by Dragowski as well. That is 2 kills for Middlesticks, and Puppey's on the backside. He gets taken down by Chad. Dragowski pops the Ragnarok, but cannot find a kill. It is a 2 for 2, but the main carries on Mirage Alliance are down. Dardoch jumps forward, trying to land another stun. They do just that, but a shutdown comes through for Max. He's rocket jumping forward, flashing over the pillar, using the Buster Shot to gain space, and then they get another one onto the Trundle. Return of the Middlesticks win out. They go 4 for 2.
They're doing it, and now they're going to be able to go mid. They shouldn't be able to start Baron. They're pinging it out. They want to try and go for this. Okay, so Neo is up. Sudsy can teleport as well. This has to be a Hail Mary play. They call their recalls. They get their kills. They're just going to reset and be ready for this objective in a minute's time. What an insane fight there. Puppey and Dragowski, the start of that fight, they immediately flanked onto Neo, so they took out one of the most important members for Mirage Alliance. And the gold lead just continues to shrink here. 2 items completed for most of the members of ROTM, but they need to be back into this fight. And summoner spells are not in their favor. Everybody from Mirage Alliance has theirs, minus Dardoch, who has the Hex Flash. He can go for the re-engage. Puppey has his Flash. Boy Wonder has his. And ultimates are starting to come back up. ROTM, they're going to set pack into position for this Baron. But Dragon, not an important piece at this point. Alorum can join in from the opposite side of the map with the teleport. ROTM now, what do you do with this mid push? What can you get from this advantage?
It's so crazy. Like, they're playing the Sivir comp. That should signify front to back, but they're saying, screw that. We're just sending it onto the back line with Cookie Crook and Dragowski, and it's working so far. That fight, really well played by the top side, and now Max has 2 items, Puppey has 2 as well. They're going to be able to shred through Mirage Alliance's composition, and so now our number 1 seed has to be a bit careful. The gold is the closest that it's been all game.
Technically, it was even.
All right, man.
Second
All right,
of the
we
game.
get it.
Dragon spawning here, man.
In 10
like,
seconds.
Kai'Sa's not here. Kai'Sa, okay, so Sudsy can just teleport at any time. Really, for ROTM, their focus should be on this mid. But remember, the one criticism that I've had among many for ROTM has been some of their shallow vision. They have not been able to put deep enough vision to contest their opponents here. And the poke setup for Mirage, Sudsy and Ziggs should be able to whittle away at these HP bars. So they either need to all in on the Dragon or start a fight now.
They're starting at the Drake. That's 6,000 health. The engage from Mirage is so good if they can find an angle in. The Mega Inferno Bomb gets spell shielded by Puppey, and so no damage is done off of that spell. The poke, though, from Neo continues to be big, and Mirage Alliance gain control around the Dragon. They're going to be the ones to secure it unless it resets. Here comes the fight. Dardoch has to W away to get the Dragon, but they lose their support. And now it's a 5v4 for Middlesticks. They do not want to push forward. Instead, their eyes towards the Baron.
Yeah, they should just immediately go for this now, as Mirage Alliance should be cut off. There's a mid-wave as well that is pushing onto this turret, so they'll have to catch 1.5 of these. Sudsy is going to back, get more mana, teleport to this top wave here. Not even a ward here right next to it. I think this would be very risky for Sudsy to teleport, but would be incredibly ballsy. He goes for the top tier. Diego has ultimate and flash and can jump into this.
The only engage is Chad, and he's going to try to go for this steal. It's at 2,000 HP. He jumps over and steals the Baron for Mirage Alliance. The Turo Baron buff in our number 1 seed's hands as they get out scot-free.
So they get the Dragon, they grab the Baron as well. ROTM on the back foot. It was looking good for a little bit, but they have now lost both of the objectives. 2.5 minutes here with the Baron will mean that Mirage can push. And with Ziggs, these turrets are sure to fall. The mid turret is incredibly low. Even if Trundle isn't able to get too much damage onto him, that Satchel Bomb is going to be putting in work. Now for RTM, eyes will be on how much of these waves can they actually hold off. They have a Sivir, and Tristana is starting to pick up items here. Getting worrisome on the side of ROTM.
Oh man, that was, I mean, that could have been the game, and then just that steal from Chad was so well done, as Mirage Alliance now have the power with the Turo Baron buff. They're going to try to find the stun on the Boy Wonder. Locks him out for a little bit, but instead Middlesticks are going towards the Lorem. They have 4 members on the top laner. One more auto would have maybe been enough to take him down with the explosive charge. And so now, Lorem will have to TP back, has the Baron recall, so should not be too decelerated as Mirage Alliance continue the push on the bottom side.
Okay, so they're going to let Max go for this push. They realize that maybe Mirage Alliance will be calling their bluff that they can't end. But now that Lorem has to back, could teleport. Both of these guys have their teleports, and honestly, with a Baron buff and another wave coming in, they have Ziggs. Alorm just has to stop the recall of Max.
Oh no, he goes for the teleport, but I think Alorm has the opportunity to cancel it. Yeah, there's no teleport now on Max. Mirage Alliance can continue to push. They have Alorm's TP, and the Trundle will continue to chase the Tristana down. They stun out Cookie Crook. They will have to make a move soon. The Satchel Charge will come out and take the tier 1st Nexus Tower down.
Running.
They are still chasing Max out of the mid lane, and Alorem winning out on the trade for now. Max uses the flash to escape. He will be able to get out, and Return of the Middlesticks have saved the game for now. Alorem continuing to try to run him down. Max has the rocket jump up soon and will be likely able to escape. There comes the pillar. There comes the rocket jump. And we can all breathe for a second here, Dimitri, but the gold now swung back about 3K for Mirage.
Massive win there for Mirage. RTM try to call their bluff, try to call the gambit.
Okay.
So they're going to try and make this trade onto Trundle. Ult
Has
goes out.
to get again. There's a second knockup. There's not enough DPS onto Alorem yet. There are pings towards the base for Mirage Alliance, but they're not going to get there before Alorem dies. Sudsy going to try to shove this wave in. Maybe an inhibitor tower can go down off this play.
I don't know if this is worth it though, right? Like, you lose so much access into mid. That play was incredibly greedy for them. They only got 1 turret, and in trade, Mirage took an inhibitor. They took bottom lane, they took mid inhibitor turret as well. So now you're looking down at a team that has so much gold, and even double summoners out from Max, right? Like, the flash so important, even with the rocket jump. Minute before the Dragon Soul, ROTM, you're going to have to dig deep. You're a team that has represented a lot in Tier 3, a team that, while you haven't been able to make a run here, trying to make it into semi-professional, trying to make it into Challengers League multiple times, now you're kind of at your last bastion. Obviously, if they lose this game, they'll just go to the lower bracket, but you're going up against the 1st seed. There were some even points here, but, I mean, Mirage Alliance, I think having a lot of patience, showing a lot of that veterancy, showing a lot of that experience that they have, knowing that that trade is not worth it. Just go for the end. Just go for the most straightforward play, which is just end their base. You have this Ziggs, and Alorem is continuing to prove a self-sufficient side laner.
They're going in on the Cookie Crook. He used the Ragnarok, but he is so separated from the rest of his team, he will go down just like that. The Dragon Skull spawns in 20.
Falls apart
Mirage
now.
Alliance might not even want to go for it. They want to go for the end right here and right now. Boy Wonder goes down. Dardoch goes to the engage. Puppet has to flash away, but Dragowski coming in with the Cyclone will try to buy some time. Max and Puppet will still remain alive, but it will be just them to defend the base.
And right there, I think some of the new players of Return of the Middlesticks we have in terms of professional play, in terms of stage games, kind of showing their greenness.
Oh my god, Neo just one-shots Max, and now Puppet is the only one left alive. It is a 5v1, and I don't think the Sivir wins out on that. The tower will go down, the Nexus is exposed. And while it was a hard-fought battle for Middlesticks, Mirage Alliance will take it 2-0 and move on to the upper bracket.
To be expected here. It's what we wanted to see from Mirage Alliance, and it's what we're going to get from them as our #1 seed. And it's unfortunate, right? Like, this was going to be the hardest matchup for Return of the Middlesticks. I think, again, this is going to be a situation where people will see the scoreline and say, thumbs up, cool, like, you took care of business, and you won't necessarily see the scoreboards, you won't necessarily have seen some of the closeness of this game, but unfortunately for Return of the Middlesticks, I think their greenness, this is the first time they've actually made the group stage here in the Challengers League qualifiers, just kind of showing they try to take a gambit, they try to take a pretty risky play, and it completely backfired against them.
To be fair, that's more than what we've seen from other teams that are, the underdogs. At least they're going for plays. They're trying to make moves, and that is a good sign for them to in the lower bracket. They have 2 more series to win. They have 2 best of 3s to win if they want to continue their journey and move on to the quarterfinals. But for now, we have to congratulate Mirage Alliance on that victory.
Yes.
2-0. They'll be playing against the winner of Komodo and Cold-Hearted, or not Cold-Hearted, Gentle Hearts. There's 2 heart teams in this tournament to see if they can move back to their 2nd straight knockout stage. Before we go for this break, we're going to step away for a couple of minutes before we end up talking to a member of the winning Mirage Alliance.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS Challengers League qualifiers. We are here with an interview with the top laner for Mirage Alliance, Alorum, 2-0 over return of the Middlesticks. Alorum, remember last time in this qualifiers, your team was a number 1 seed, lost to the bottom seed in game number 1. Were you worried about that at all coming into this series?
Not really. Being perfectly frank, I think us losing was a fluke. If anyone looks at those games, we're losing the game 8,000 gold ahead because we're doing something really stupid. But if we're not doing something really stupid, we're going to win. So, like, assuming we have our heads on right and we're not just completely botching a one game, then we're going to win every single time. First one was a fluke. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, good. Let's kind of get into it then, right? Like, I know I saw it. I talked about it on the broadcast. You guys obviously were pretty miffed, obviously losing in semifinals, and I think talking with other teams, they were also like that when that series was kind of iffy as to like what happened coming into the second qualifier. Like, what was there any change in preparation? Was there like a little bit of a mindset change, or is it still like we are still the best team in this qualifier? The fact that we got second seed from the selection committee is a demerit on them. Like, what's the atmosphere on the team?
Nah, I mean, I wouldn't say much has really changed. And as for the second seed, we accept that we lost. So how could the committee do anything but put Ambition, who won the last tournament, as first seed? I think that makes perfect sense. I don't agree with that. That in theory they're supposed to be stronger than us because they're first seed. I don't agree with that, but we lost, so we have to take that on the chin, right? Okay, we have to accept that we're going to be second seed voted now because we messed up. As for the mindset of us going into the second tournament, it's still the exact same. We still think that we're better than everyone else, and really the whole review of losing that series to Team Ambition was, okay, well, don't do that again. Because what else can we say? We already have the leads generated, and we're already really far ahead in every single lane. The only problem was broken record here, doing something dumb. And as long as we don't do that, we're winning.
Is there anything that goes into it other than, just talking it over in the draft or like the scrims? Are you playing scrims a little bit more tightly to like make sure these mistakes don't happen? Or is it just kind of a mindset thing, knowing you always have to be like 100% on your A game when you're playing in these competitive games?
Well, I'd say we all know like the expectations that are set for us is that we're all super competitive and experienced players here. Yeah. And of course, everyone is hate watching us. Everyone wants us to lose so much. I know it. I know it because when I watch top teams before in amateur too, like I'm going, oh god, I hope they lose. Like, it's so funny, right? You get to use the
about my channel points, like
you get to use the emojis in the qualifier channel and everything. Everyone loves it. Trust me, because I'm there too. Anytime there's a top team losing, like, I'm having a great time. It's fun to watch. And that's especially the case for us because we have so many LCS and academy players on this team. So it's really like everyone's against us, but that doesn't bother us, because we've all been in that same position. Everyone loves to watch the favorites lose. The mindset now is just to perform to those expectations, right? And scrims are going about the same. It's really hard to say like if anything's changed. Like, we've always been serious about it. We were serious about it last tournament, and we're serious about it this tournament. It's just a matter of we can't be cocky, right? Like, even though we know we're better than everyone else, it's not like everyone else are just bums. Like, we're gonna have to still have to play well, and like we did before. If we do something stupid, then we're gonna lose for it.
It's funny that you bring up like the everybody kind of like hate watching angle, because I think everybody on your team has been at least through a small arc, some people a lot longer, of just like a lot of maybe public perception being pretty negative.
Who could you possibly be talking about, I wonder?
Well, look, I mean, look, like, even if we go back to, like you playing in Academy or you playing elsewhere, like there are people who are haters. And then obviously, like, Chad is a little controversial, right? Like, even when Neo was playing LCS, there's people who were criticizing him pretty heavily.
Okay.
Like, what do you guys do? Like, are you guys just like, we don't care, like we're that much better than you guys, or like your eyes are fully focused on playing promotion tournament and going further from there?
No, we're just playing to win. We're not that concerned about
Okay.
what anyone thinks of us. It's funny, we can talk
Yeah.
about it, and we always like when we're doing these qualifiers in the Swiss bracket, we're always the first ones staring at the Swiss bracket, hoping for an upset so we can start dropping emojis.
Yeah,
I mean, we're the first ones doing that. We've been around the block a long time, so we understand completely what everyone else is thinking. We've been in that exact same position, so the public perception of our players is not a huge deal. Although I will say, our boy Dardoch is a little peeved at everyone going. The whole story behind him right now is like jungle turned to support. And it's like, oh, he may be a little rusty at support, or he's not that good. He's way better jungle. But Josh, he's really good at support. People's got to give him credit for where it's due. He is a good support. We wouldn't be playing with him in support if he wasn't good at the role. He can play that role just fine. I promise everyone. He's not bad at the video game League of Legends.
I don't think we were down.
We definitely know that. That's for sure. Before we go, we gotta. I want to give you the spotlight here because I know you were talking on Twitter yesterday about a segment on the LCS that ended up happening. We want to give you a bit of a public platform before we move on to our next series.
Yeah, I'm lost and forgotten. What can I say? I had my time, and now I'm here playing an amateur, but I'll still lock in my trundle to counterpick Olaf and fight to the death all game long. I'll do my thing. That's just I'm where I belong, right here in the depths.
Oh my God. Well, hopefully we can get you on the broadcast like they did. I don't know if we really want to try and forget you. I know you wanted to be a gatekeeper for a lot of people. Well, Orem, great job. Continue winning. Keep proving the haters and that they're wrong, and keep emoting in chat because that is the best part. I did love that we were able to do a little bit of banter, that you guys were a little bit of a week late on the Team Ambition win. I saw Dardoch definitely get back to me on some of the reacts. That was really good. And we'll see you next weekend, man.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, we're going to be going to our next series just in a couple of minutes. Komodo versus Gentle Hearts after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS Challengers League qualifiers. We have our second group stage game on twitch.tv/rallycry2, where we're going to be finding out who will play against Mirage Alliance for a spot in the quarterfinals next week. It is our 8 and 9 seeds, Komodo and Gentle Hearts Gaming. I'm Graves, joined alongside Alk Batter. Should be a fun time.
For sure. And two teams that are obviously going to be, we hope, to be the closest games, especially after what we just saw where Mirage Alliance took care of business versus the Middlesticks. And both of these teams, I mean, we're looking at Swiss, we're looking at some of their performance from previous tournaments. Komodo, for their points, are actually reset because they changed a majority of the roster, even though they did move some pieces into the substitute spots. It is part of your main roster that needs to kind of be staying on board. So Gentle Hearts, they're keeping their points, and they're the closest, or the most likely, I say, if they are going to make a run, to actually crack into top 4.
Well, let's take a look at the rosters to see what people are running with. First, Komodo, your number 8 seed with Topo, Kitsuo, Doxa, Burai, and Kenji. The only remaining player from the first split is Doxa. But honestly, Alk, not the worst thing, because this team definitely underperformed in the first qualifier.
Yeah, there were some also unfortunate issues, right? Like, you're not going to be able to see, they got taken care of by Kellick's Grandpa Gamers, who landed the killing blow, but they had to sub in Mabud. He was playing AD carry for Aaron after there was a power outage, and still, even with that, I think there were some problematic parts to Komodo's gameplay where, unfortunately for this team, the main carries were Doxa and Aaron, and while they do have some really good moments, there is a large propensity for this team to fall flat a lot of the time. So bringing in Topopotamus, bringing in Kitsuo, someone who did perform pretty well on Aporia in the last split, I think is looking forward to kind of prove himself and maybe even go a little bit further than his ex-team. And bringing in Burai, who, you know, was someone that we didn't have a lot of information on, and we're still kind of waiting to see how the jury is on this player.
Yeah, played okay throughout the Swiss bracket. I also remember Keelix talking about how he's been playing in like 2018 and 19, and finally he's coming back. So that'll be a fun addition on top of this top side for Komodo that made it to Proving Grounds last year as part of Team Pending. So Doxa, definitely the X factor here, but some good supporting pieces around him. If we take a look at their opponents for today in Gentle Hearts Gaming, a team that also made a couple of roster changes. Barrack, Scooped, and Sandwich all remaining from Cheese Chasers, but in that mid-jungle, there's King Clueless and Barrack's former teammate at UCI in Cinna.
Okay. And for Gentle Hearts Gaming, I think the thing that I want to see from this team is kind of a revitalization of kind of some of the player narratives that we have talked about a little bit for this team. For Cinna, I want to see him break out of that like 2020, 2021 era of Cinna, where we saw some really cool stuff, but really hasn't been able to live past that, kind of living in the shadow of those plays. And for Barrack, he has been the standout member for this team. Like, Scooped has had some hit or miss performances, but Barrack, it feels like the real deal in top side. He is one of the better top laners here in this tournament. Yeah. And so I want to see what he can do to try to bring this team up. Scooped is an incredible AD carry, but sometimes can get a little bit of ahead of himself. And obviously sometimes his team just isn't built to really, I don't want to say handle him as an AD carry, but like, it is difficult for him to play when his team is not setting himself for success.
And we'll have a good matchup against Burai and Kenji, who I think Scoop and Sandwich will likely be advantaged or favored going into this game. What I'm looking at for Gentle Hearts Gaming is the mid-jungle here. King Clueless and Cinna, this new collegiate California pairing coming in. Clueless from UCSD, Cinna on UCI. And seeing how they actually end up performing, because honestly, the mid-jungle for Cheese Chasers was pretty good. Kryra and Out performed decently, but you know, now these new pieces coming in, I think this is where things started to fall apart a little bit for Gentle Hearts in the Swiss bracket.
King Clueless was kind of, there were definitely some different moments there. I'm looking to what this team can do. Because this was a Cheese Chasers roster who, like you said, had Kryra. They made it to top 8 and were taken out by Lit. So maybe with some different pieces coming in. Carrera is actually still on the roster, is on the substitute spot, and also was kind of helping out with some of the drafts when I last checked for Swiss. So he is still having some input in the team. I'm wondering how much we'll kind of end up seeing, as I feel bad for King Clueless. His name is so long, plus he has to still have the tri-code, so like he's just King Clueless.
King Clueless. Yeah.
Was missing an S.
It's close enough. I feel like that's the best that you can do, I guess, with the name being that long. As we are into the draft here, Gentle Hearts going to be on the blue side, Komodo on red. And this is going to be an interesting draft here with Dmitry, because Kitsuo in the jungle, and Dox in mid lane, they can play some interesting picks, and we're already seeing some of those being targeted in the bans.
For sure. Kitsuo is always a big innovator. I love when we get to see Kitsuo play in a more open jungle meta. No tanks. Because he is just such an aggressive player. He has always been known for those plays, like we see the Rengar. And if they need engage, we've seen some of his Swiss play. We've been seeing him a little bit on the Jarvan, already started to pick it back up. Lee Sin got buffed on this patch. I think the champion is not real, but regardless, I think he's one of the people who's gonna. Whoa! Okay, he does not think it's real enough though. Just criticizes tank play, immediately picks up the Sejuani. So we'll see what melee solo laners he can pick up here. But getting Kai'Sa as a response to the rail, I think is perfectly fine, especially since Tristana is already taken away. And we'll see what Gentle Hearts can do to get a response.
It could be for Topo. We have to always keep that in the back of our mind. Topo is a very well-known weak side tank player. Into the Renekton, not the worst thing. So maybe Kitsuo gets his hands on a little bit more of a playmaker in the jungle. Gentle Hearts, though, a lot of engage in their composition already with the Rel and now the Renekton locked in.
Okay, so strong top side immediately here for Barrack. What is Komodo's option for top lane? You have a strong 2v2 if you're going to send that Rel into the jungle. Komodo, I think people have been more than willing to handshake the Renekton Cassante matchup. It is one where you're going to lose a little bit early, but you're still Cassante at the end of the day. So come late game team fights, you will have a lot of threat. Going into a Xayah, though, I do want to see them have a little bit more engage. So something like an Ornn to be able to bait out that ultimate is perfectly fine. I like the Rakan takeaway here. Again, we have a lot of champions that can flex specifically in these first picks to different roles. Kai'Sa can go into the mid lane. We've already seen actually Doxa pick up a pentakill on this champion last qualifier. So a lot of options here. And I think we're looking at really the important parts here is Komodo should be looking to ban out as many jungles as possible, or even maybe focus towards the support. And for Gentle Hearts, now you're looking at what are we going to get for our mid lane?
Yeah, Senna might have an interesting time not knowing exactly what is going to be his matchup with the draft being so flexible at this point. The Rumble takeaway definitely makes a lot of sense because that champion is very, very strong. But still, the uncertainty for what Komodo is going to come up with here definitely going to be a very important part of how Gentle Hearts round out their composition.
Support counter pick here. So everybody's just been playing this champion in jungle. Like Rel is just way too strong in the jungle. We talked about it in the last game. Komodo kind of have to play a little close to the chest here as to what they want to take away, right? Like they have to ban both a couple options away from mid, as well as looking at their support position here. I think they're trying to pull them in a direction for Gentle Hearts where they have to pick Nautilus. It is a good matchup into what Komodo are showing already and would give them a lot of great engage, but just means that the damage is going to be a little lacking from Gentle Hearts. In terms of magic damage, I think you are looking at what Senna can play. Syndra is not the best in this position, and definitely what Senna would go towards comfort. You do not want to play Syndra if there's going to be an Ornn on the opposite side. Like, do you play Cassio? That looks bad. Ziggs is available and definitely playable, but there's a lot of tanks, so it's going to take you a long time.
Definitely need some magic damage, though. You have 2 tanks against 2 AD threats. You definitely need a little bit of mix in damage right now. The Lux Hover is interesting, although I would not expect this to be locked in here for Senna. Does not sound like it would be very good into this composition. But it looks like it will instead be the Syndra. So really going to try to bypass these tanks, go straight for one-shotting the backline. A very risky strategy for Gentle Hearts.
For sure. They are playing to just stomp out this early game. Like, they're playing for mid priority. You have Renekton into Ornn. You're going to be playing for top side here. If you're going to do that, hey, get your Kindred, right? Like, make sure you get something that's going to be able to control the map. And for King Clueless, it's up to you, man. Like, this game comes down to jungle diff. Like, what is your choice here? Picks up the Viego. So between the mid jungle, they will have really good access at being able to kill people. The problem is, if Komodo, they pick another tank, if they pick something that's able to be a little bit more resilient, then I'm worried. Because game goes to like 25, 30 minutes, and they're going to be incredibly tanky. They're going to have Ornn items starting to come in. They have great scaling for the champions. I think Sylas would be a bit of a doomer here. Such good ultimates to steal.
We'll see.
Wow.
He's going to be locked in. Doc's on the Sylas as well, so that is a champion that he is very, very comfortable on in the mid lane. Will be able to, get through the laning phase, and then I think that is kind of the goal for Komodo as a whole, because their late game composition just so much stronger than what Gentle Hearts had brought to the table.
Fights should play out for Komodo. Ornn ultimate, try to get the flash out of Senna very early on. Kenji comes in with a flank. I'm really glad they're actually getting into another engaged champion meta, just because Kenji in particular has been excellent on this suite of champions. I think Enchanters, his play does tend to fall off just a little bit, so being able to move away from that definitely helps Komodo in that sense. And for Doxa, you're giving him a champion that can play side lane, has kill threat onto his opposition, and those are the champions that we want to see Doxa on. When Doxa is given tools to succeed, he can be an incredible performer, but also will have that kind of double-edged sword, right? Like, will Doxa be in a carry position this game, or is he going to be kind of relegated to pick up a good ultimate and just send it, just let it fly, right?
There's been games this qualifier where Doxa has had 10 plus kills. There, I think, also have been games this qualifier where Doxa has had 10 plus deaths, or very close to that. So he's been a bit of a wild card for this Komodo team. And this is a player that has dominated Tier 3 for many years, was on TSM Academy, or TSM Challengers, I should say, in the spring split. Now making his way back down here, just kind of ganging together some friends and playing maybe some of the, most laid-back League of Legends almost that we've seen from Doxa, just kind of getting the opportunity to just chill for a little bit in a split with some of his friends. And for him, this is a very important series, or just a important opportunity for him to help his team succeed, because he is definitely the X factor on this team.
We've been looking forward to what Komodo can actually do. I've known just from being around, like talking to people, like this Komodo roster is something that's been kind of like a cooked up addition, something that Doxa has actually been sitting on and been waiting to kind of debut. We almost may have seen this roster in spring, but obviously Doxa went on to play in TSM Challengers, like you were talking about, because they didn't want to play like Insanity for some reason, which we now see is a bit of a backfire, and they're doing well now. But this roster has been waiting. Like he's been sitting on this. He was like waiting, and I want to see what they can do, because this is his brainchild. This is something that Doxa came up with. This is something that he really wanted to try to get this team around. You do see that there are some pieces from former members. Obviously Kenji from Winthrop. There is ZKG, same thing. You have Frost Forest, who was previously on this roster. So this was a team built around a lot of the Winthrop boys that he was able to meet. I love that they had the logo. I remember seeing some iterations of it. It was very cute. But now we get this little guy, which is my favorite. And Komodo needed to show up. This was a roster that we were excited for in the first qualifier for summer, and didn't quite meet the expectations. Now here, it basically requires them to make the run and go basically win the whole tournament, because all their points are gone.
They have very, very few points. It's just the 15 that they actually earned in the Swiss bracket. So I think the best case for them is to actually win the whole thing, and not really rely on all the other teams dropping to some pretty weird spots. So gonna be a tough hill to climb, but for Komodo, if they can get a good start against Gentle Hearts, it could be a good opportunity for them. Before we hop in, I believe we have our predictions for the closest seeding matchup of the weekend. All the casters put in their predictions. I'm actually excited to see what we all predicted.
Oh, I think we were split on this one. I don't know. I forgot who I put. I did finish it like last night, so maybe I'm like completely. No, okay, I
Oh,
remember this. Okay, all right. I remember seeing this. I don't think everybody else had filled it out completely because I saw currently at the time that I filled mine out, only you and I were voting for Gentle Hearts.
okay.
So maybe Ravish and Travis C saw that you and I were Gentle Hearts gamers and believed in the boys.
Hey, I'm high on Scooped every time he steps on the rift, but also Barrack
Real.
in the top lane. I think really impressed me as a part of this Cheese Chasers team. And, you know, against Komodo, this new roster, keeping that core, I think might help them out here just a little bit. But first, Summer and Yarko, seems like they have different opinions on how this series could potentially go.
Well, I hope they're wrong.
No, we just want an exciting game. This is not.
I want exciting games,
What?
but I want to be right, man. Like, I pride myself. That's the whole point.
That is, of course, the most important thing. Not how good the players play, but just our predictions being correct. We're about ready to hop into game, our first matchup between Komodo and Gentle Hearts. But before we do so, have to thank our sponsors here at the LCS Challengers League qualifiers.
Yeah.
They're sponsored by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace, where you can.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
We have drifted onto the rift for game number 1.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're okay. Okay. So, again, make sure you guys are using Turo. It is very OP. Me and Ravish were talking about this the other day, but it has actually saved our lives in terms of being able to get around. So happy that we were able to get that. For this game, though, we're going to be seeing if Komodo can actually make that run. And if Gentle Hearts want to stop that, because this is a team that was previously top 8, like we've been talking about, and they are playing certainly an aggressive composition. If they win this game, I think it does prove that they have a bit of an execution skill floor that is a bit higher than some of the other teams here in the tournament. But this is the closest we have for seeding this weekend. It is 8th versus 9th, and this is, I think, a tough draft to play out. You basically need to be winning at every step of the game.
Starting that snowball, getting it rolling is going to be very important. And with that, we're looking at this, what King Clueless is able to do in this early clear. Starting topside, not getting a leash from Barrack. That means that Scooped is going to be the early target to get ahead, which makes a lot of sense given this team.
So both junglers actually pathing down as well. Wonder if King Clueless will try to flip it. So there are a couple options as a jungler here where you can take 5 of these camps, go for a gank, go start on your Krugs, and either go for a reset and then immediately try to flip your pathing to play towards topside. Because in the early game, like, it is just a Renekton, even with the amount of damage that he can do. There's a lot of sustain he's going to have. He is a manaless champion as well, so going up against Ord, that is going to be something that we'll have to watch. But also could very easily just continue to path down, continue to just reset, and then come 8 minutes, we're looking at a Rift Herald here for Gentle Hearts. And I want to see how they play because obviously this is our first time getting a kind of a look at more and more games of King Clueless here in the qualifiers. And again, that focus around mid lane, anytime that Senna does not have flash is a kill angle for Komodo.
We saw there immediately trying to prioritize targeting that Syndra and forcing that flash out. And now King Clueless with Sandwich going to go for a bit of a roam into the bottom side jungle. Maybe actually looking for Kitsuo on his wolf camp. Not going to go for that. Instead, the blue buff might be the target here. But now Kenji and Barai, they're here as well. They know what's going on, so King Clueless has to get on out of there.
Just some early vision. This is good on the side of Gentle Hearts, right? Like, you have mid priority as well because it is a range versus melee matchup. It is Syndra versus Sylas. Kitsuo's going to get cut out and lose one camp. Should expect him to also lose out on the Scuttle as well. Sandwich, that crash down. Very good. So instead of the blue buff,
they want everything.
Get an all-out
they
brawl.
Get the smite onto the Gromp. They go for the stun onto Kenji. He has to battle dance away. As now King Clueless has the Ignite taken onto him. He has to flash. And now Doxa coming in, looking to try and pick up the first kill of this game. And he will with first blood. He will get traded back though unless he flashes away and survives for now. Sandwich with the final auto attack makes it 1-for-1. And now Kenji will get taken out by the Dark Spear. It's an all-out brawl in the bottom lane as 2 for 2 so far in the fight. Scoop gets hit up by a full Acathian Rain and will have to escape before picking up a third.
Okay, that was a really messy fight. I'm glad that we got to see that from them because it is a 2-for-2. Kitso just gets to immediately go straight back into jungling here. King Clueless doing the same thing, actually going for the top side scuttle as well. Good job from both teams there. I liked how aggressively we saw them. I think blowing a lot of summoner spells and trying to be aggressive onto Sir Kenji is not the best because it is Rakan, and so his kind of flexibility, his ability to actually get in and out of fights is very high. And, you know, we saw that Gentle Hearts, they're like, oh, we used our Ignite, we used all of our spells on him. What do we do now? Because now we're just waiting on cooldown and we're early game up against these champions. I think the big thing to note is that both of our AD carries do have Flash, and Senna was able to pick up a kill and assist, so getting those Cincture bucks is very important for this champion to be able to scale.
And getting those 2 kills, or assisting on 2 of those 2 kills, is going to be very, very big for Senna. And maybe an opportunity for Gentle Hearts to break that narrative of being the early game team. You know, the executes, the increased damage from Syndra. Once you get some more of those stacks, can maybe take this team over the hump, but they still need that early advantage, and they're working towards it right now. As in the mid lane, Senna, nice dodge away from both crowd controls spells of Komodo.
And he still has Flash. Impressive play coming out for the mid laner here for Gentle Hearts Gaming. As now we're seeing it, right? King Clueless, he's going to take his Krugs, he's going to go straight towards his Raptors here, and should be looking to end his clear on the top side of the map. Wants to try to play through this advantage, so expect for him to be top side in a few minutes. Maybe they try to get some early vision and try to clear out this bottom side to prevent Komodo from taking the dragon, because they don't necessarily have to take it, they just have to make sure that they can stop Komodo. And a lot of this is coming from the mid lane here because Doxa is a little bit behind, and Senna should be getting ready to have that ultimate soon. And looking forward alongside, I love the roaming death squad that they have with Sandwich.
Yeah, him and King Clueless have done a good job making sure that Kitsuo's life is not a fun one for the moment. More camp stolen away, and now a play towards the bottom side. Burai has to flash, but Kenji not so lucky, gets stunned up by the Q. What a play from Sandwich as Scoop picks up the 3rd kill for Gentle Hearts.
Okay, they're just saying completely like, we don't care about top side. We're winning this bottom lane matchup. Let's get Scooped ahead. And Scooped has been one of the biggest pieces in every roster we've seen him on for these qualifiers. For Native, he was one of the best performing members and one of the members obviously in a bot lane centric meta that really had to perform. Unfortunately for them, obviously finishing outside of the top 4. But again, every time that we talk about this squad, it always comes back down to bottom lane. What can Scoop do? Is he put in a position to carry? Trying to make a play here onto them.
With the Hearts, they get the dragon. They're going to try to escape now. Burai lands that Void Seeker, but it's not enough to try and take anybody else down. So just the dragon, just the Hearts, escape with an advantage once again.
And I love how much trust is coming out here because, I mean, Syndra just took the reset, right? Like, just has to say, like, I have to back. I'm going to recall there. Try not to die. And for Komodo, we saw Doxa move down, so he ends up moving. His back is now much later. He should be able to catch this wave, but it will give time now for Senna to move into the top side with this Rift Herald spawning. You see that already for Gentle Hearts. They're winning the top side matchup. That's just what Renekton does. Setting up for early Rift Herald, so they've gotten the early dragon. They're getting kills as well. Good setup so far for a team that we needed to see play for the early game.
The early game is working so far for them, and now for Gentle Hearts, they have to continue to, you know, push the pressure, push the pace. That Rift Herald has just spawned, and I would not be surprised to see Gentle Hearts immediately go towards it. Scooped has one more wave to shove, and then maybe a reset would fare well for him.
We're going to start this up. Rel is here, and remember, both of these AD carries are not going to be able to move. Seems like Scooped is actually moving first. So Komodo going to have to call their bluff. Look at where the flashes are right now. Good scatter.
2-man scatter, the stomach hits as well. Doxa with the stolen Magnus Storm gets free. Stuck into him on the side of Komodo. They get the first kill onto Sandwich. And now a numbers advantage going in favor of Komodo. The Unleashed power goes out. King Clueless dashes forward with a Heartbreaker and picks up a kill for his team. Call the Forge God though from Topo will not find a target as Barrick's going to dash forward. Try to land the stun onto the Ornn, and Topo in a bit of trouble now. He has to flash away as Gentle Hearts get the better end. Scoop joining the fight, and now they can make their way back towards the Herald.
They need to take this immediately here and actually make this play onto
no.
Scooped.
Caught out.
He has ultimate.
Uses the Feather Storm, still has a flash as well. He's waiting for it, uses the stun, the drag back is huge, and Duxta will go down to Clueless. He dashes forward, continuing the push onto Kenji, and he will have to use the Grand Exit to get out alive.
But can they keep going for this Herald? Guys, can we finish the Herald?
Go to
Good
the
job
Herald,
from
please.
Senna as well. Yeah, teleports in. So Senna's going to catch this wave. Oh, single plate does go over to Barai. But this is a complete winning play for the side of the Gentle Hearts. They could get so many kills onto King Clueless. Scooped as well, being able to survive. We see that gold lead start to thrive more and more, and a lot of it plays into the jungle there. I love that Doxa took the Magnet Storm. We had an insane engage because we saw our supports not have that level 6 available to them. So saying, look, I got your ultimate before you even have it, man. Like, I'm doing better. I'm level 7. I'm playing Silas, right? Like, that's just what happens. But a good setup from Gentle Hearts regardless. And for Komodo, I like the fight back. And the fact that they're able to get as many kills as they are does kind of mean it's still good for them. They are still in a position, they are the scaling team, so if they're able to go pound for pound, bar for bar early on in the game, that is perfectly fine, as it is up to Gentle Hearts to accelerate the game at every point. A minute and a half before the Dragon, they need to be able to get more plates. They have not actually been able to get too many of these plates so far. A lot of them even potentially in bottom side, a plate and a half. But we talked about some of the advantage. They are going mostly even across rates. It's only 1,000 gold lead for Gentle Hearts, and I think they really would need to kind of quicken the pace of the game right now, as remember, it is all about that scaling.
Kitsua with a little bit of a cheeky steal. That's going to help the scaling a little bit for Komodo. I am interested to see where King Clueless places this Rift Herald, because that will be a very important part of how the snowball will continue. But he might not be able to use the Herald because he gets knocked up and stunned up by Komodo. They're going to dash forward on it. King Clueless going to survive for now. And now Scoop fighting this out to try and defend his jungler. Running aggressively, popping the ghost, and making sure Komodo go away from their jungle.
Now look at this, 40 seconds. Yes, it was a great play to try to get this out of King Clueless, but what do you lose for it in the time being? It is an entire mid-wave here for Doxa, who's already starting to fall behind, and even now, they know that they're playing towards bottom side, so what does Barrack do? He plays in between the waves. He is proxying Topo on this Ord, and King Clueless has enough time with the mist to get right back into position for this Dragon, so a lot of skills used there, and everything still available for Gentle Hearts.
And they now have brought King Clueless back to the bottom lane. The ability to drop this Rift Herald should give Scoop 2, if not more plates. There's one already for him, and the Crash will at least guarantee another as the Dragon spawns. So, again, the ability to continue pushing the pace is good. Senna survives a play made mid, and now Gentle Hearts might go on the aggressive. Topo has joined the fight as Barrack had to slice and dice away. And so, like, things will calm down for just a little bit. Oh, Kitsua dashes away. Okay, never mind.
Kenji.
They're going for the engage. They land the knock-up in onto King Clueless, and he gets shut down by Doxa. A huge Q from Barrack as he is matched from the backside with the dominance. And that is the turnaround for Gentle Hearts Gaming. They get 2 kills for themselves and are pushing into mid. Scoop has a huge fight alongside Barrack in that one, and they make their way down and take advantage in that engage.
Able to trade 1 for 2, but again, Dragon stopped there. Rift Herald as well was used, and while they got some plates, Gentle Hearts, they traded up in kills. They're going to continue getting their gold. We'll say the one part that I am looking at right now is that Barai has been silently farming right here. He has been able to pick up a few assists. He has not gone down. He's getting gold. He's getting some turret plates. So while he isn't quite even, it's only a 900 gold lead here for Scooped. Got to be looking, as he is one of the more consistent members here for Komodo, is the stand-in for Aaron at this point. One of the roster changes that we saw coming in for this roster. Coming into this next fight, Summoner spells mostly available for every part of Gentle Hearts. That is not the same for Komodo. They're waiting. Topo's flash is going to be coming up soon, and Kenji's flash, an important one, as he has been finding some really good engages up against this team, and they really want to try to grab this Dragon. If Komodo are able to grab this, it will put a big damper on the plans of Gentle Hearts.
So it looks like They are actually going to go away from it right now as Kitso has other things on his mind, particularly Barrick, who is continuing to proxy onto Topo, so maybe trying to stop that a little bit could be helpful for him. So Gentle Hearts have full control over the bot side. They're going to get more gold onto Scooped as he shoves this wave in. Going to try to take down this tier 1 tower. Sandwich going to join, but here comes Kenji on the engage.
Okay.
A nice Feather Storm keeps him alive. The first turret goes to Gentle Hearts.
We'll grab that. Remember, looking at where Topopotamus can actually TP into. He's looking to continue to push this wave. And just keep, I mean, he could just DP, like, he doesn't actually need to catch this next wave. Like, he is a top laner, bro. We are playing for this dragon. They need to find something.
The scatter, stomach hit go. He is very low and taken out by the unleashed power of Sin for the first kill of the fight. A 2-man knockup from Kenji, but it's responded to by Sandwich dashing forward. It's still a 1-for-1. Top with the Qualifiers, God whiffs it and won't be able to find a knockup. Stun lands onto Doxa, who has stolen away dominance to keep himself healthy, so it will just be that 1-for-1.
Good trade there for the side of Komodo. They're going to be able to buy more and more time. The dragon still hasn't been taken here. Rift Herald spawning in a few. Like, this should be the objective focus here for the side of Gentle Hearts. And I don't know if maybe they're trying to wait for a pick to kind of materialize, but a lot of it is not coming to fruition. They got the turret in bottom side, and now Barrick should be able to have free time to hit this turret top lane. Like, we're just seeing Gentle Hearts, I think, stall out a little bit as they haven't really been able to find a perfect engage for their team.
But so far, it's working well enough for them. They get some advantages in the parts of the game, the players that matter for them, right? Scooped has 2 kills, Cinna has 2 kills, they both have not died. And now they can continue to push the pace as the next target is this top lane outer turret. Barrick and the rest of the team going to get more gold into Scoop. And they might try to chase Topo down as well. He uses the Searing Charge to get away, and so maybe the Rift Herald up next.
TP immediately into the bottom side. They don't even want to play for this. Grab this bottom tier 1 and immediately pick up the dragon. I like this kind of trade, and they're even getting into mid. Good use of the flash from Cinna means that that will not be available in the next coming minutes, so something that they can look for with the Recon engage, with Kitso on the Sejuani. Getting gold back into Doxa, who is missing out on farm, but getting a full solo turret to yourself alongside a couple of waves. Not a bad trade for them.
And that is the small things that Komodo need to continue to do. Barai getting stronger, Doxa getting some kills, and you can see he has some pressure over Barrick, who has dominated his lane for the entirety of this game. And so now Komodo controlling the bottom side after that trade that Gentle Hearts went for. That's not a bad trade at all. And now the ability to stall, as you said, is going to continue, with Komodo now being in a pretty good spot.
This is a Cloud Soul, so Sag for all the based not Cloud Soul enjoyers, Cloud and Chemtech. I will say, it's weird because Cloud Soul is pretty impactful for like a lot of teams, right? Like getting movement speed after you cast your ultimate is fine. Out of combat movement speed is great. I think the actual Rift itself is pretty interesting, but I guess I'll have to hold this. We're just trying to find Scooped.
Yeah, there comes the Feather Storm, though. A huge engage from Sandwich stuns all 3 players in the mid lane for Komodo. Barrick jumps in with the dominance. Knock up, though, onto Scoop. Will stall out a little bit, but it's all Gentle Hearts in this fight. Even the tanks will go down to the might of Gentle Hearts gamers as they go 3-0 and will win this fight with the Herald mid.
What an awkward fight there for Barai, as you saw Gentle Hearts, they were buying so much space. Scooped being a pretty big focus, but only being half HP. Barai got
Doxa. Scoop, he gets knocked up and stunned, and Scoop goes on a rampage. A huge play from Sandwich to keep his AD carry alive, and Gentle Hearts run away with this fight and have firm control of game number 1.
And it goes from bad to worse here now. 6,000 gold at 18.5 minutes. It's just gonna feel worse and worse as more items are completed. Scooped finishing 2 here, and Senna, even without the flash, just feels completely empowered. There's no Sejuani ult. Kenji had already made his engage. Topopotamus, they use so many tools to try to grab Scoop that Senna and Clueless just walk into this fight completely unbothered. Unbothered kings for them as Kenji gets caught out. A really, really good blade caller coming out from the side of Scooped means that they cannot actually find that kill, but very, very close. Getting the flash out from Kenji is, again, one of those engage tools for Komodo that they need if they want to try to win fights.
That is a big cooldown, and going from bad to worse right now for Komodo. They still have the scaling, but right now, Gentle Hearts in a very solid game state. Sandwich fishing for engages alongside King Flus, as they have done for the entire game. And that means that pressure for Gentle Hearts, they can get this tower and really start to extend this gold lead. It's now at 6K.
And I always feel the need to say this when we talk about scaling. It is always relative to your opponent. I'm not saying that Gentle Hearts fall off a cliff at 30 minutes, but Ornn has so much value, and if your team is based on can I find a kill, can I find a reset for someone like Viego, then hey, if you find those picks like you just did on the Kenji, then you're obviously going to get so much value in a team fight with something like the Syndra, who can scale, who has so many splinters of Wrath already. She's at 90 at almost 20 minutes. She is very close to getting a free Rabadons, as well as her Execute.
Oh, that might have been a dead Doxa with just that ultimate. He steals the Unleashed power away, but not going to have enough damage to trade back in this 2v2. They land another Scout of the Week onto Kitsuo, and now King Clues will continue to dash forward. The stun, more damage, and another kill for Gentle Hearts game.
Okay, well, when I said that they needed to be ahead at a certain point, this is kind of the ahead they needed to be. 8,000 at 20.5 minutes. Starting up the Baron, there's no jungler here. Barai, like, I don't even know what to do. You're not the AP variant. You're just going to have to be able to farm. Topo needs to hit level 14 already if he wants to try to give some of those items away. And Gentle Hearts Gaming, they're going to take the Turo Baron buff. The Dragon's coming up in 40 seconds as well. Our 8th seed is looking to try to move on forward into game 2.
And they're looking very solid so far. The Baron, just kind of the icing on top of the cake at this point. Almost a 10,000 gold lead. Everybody on Gentle Hearts Gaming is significantly ahead of their opponents. The only exception right now, Doxa has had a pretty solid game. The first strike helping him out a little bit. He's been able to keep up a tad, but Cinna also having a very solid game. The stacks just kind of accentuate the lead that they have. So Gentle Hearts in a very solid position to do what their early game composition does best, try to end this game before 25 minutes. They're going to go for a play onto Kitsuo. He will dash away to save his life for now. Oh wow, there's no way we're fighting this, right? Okay,
Guys.
Komodo gonna go for the engage, a huge two-man knockup. Topo landing the call the Forge God in onto King Clueless. He has to flash away, and here comes Cinna, a massive Scout of the Week, and Barrack is too big with the Dominus in his hands. A double kill for Scoop, as that's a win for Gentle Hearts.
Gentle Hearts Gaming are basically just big industry right now. They are too big to fail. Oh my, Kenji!
Oh no.
Okay, well, we're getting for game 2, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the stream here. They're going to grab another Dragon. I mean, this is just completely chalked at this point. Komodo are too far down. There's some part of losing with Grace. They still have Baron as well, so even if they can't get every single inhibitor, they're going to try to take as many outer turrets as humanly possible.
Definitely looks like a pretty insurmountable advantage for Gentle Hearts gamers. That was not even the best fight for them, but Komodo seemed to be forcing things just a little bit too hard, which respect for even trying to go for plays when you're down 8,000 gold, but those engages have not found success so far.
By the way, it's been 2 minutes since the Baron spawned, and there was an ace there. There's a near ace here. It is 19-5 Graves.
Yeah, it was close.
There's 12,000 gold. It was closer than it was.
Yeah.
Which is, I think we could say that a lot about our top teams. But this 8th versus 9th, right? Like, we talked a lot about how there are so many good pieces on the side of Komodo. Topopotamus, Kitsuo, Doxa, Kenji, all big collegiate players who have had some time in the spotlight at one point or another, or being able to have decent runs and being on pretty okay teams. But Gentle Hearts, they were impressive in the first qualifier for a reason. It was around these pieces, and specifically now, Cinna and Barrack. Yes, we talked about Scoop, but the solo lanes really holding their own in this game.
Yeah, the UCI solo laners from 2022. They're part of Mercenaries, that team that did upset Golden Guardians at some points in the season. So these guys are friends. I'm pretty sure there was some situation where they wanted to play with each other, and it's working so far. as might be one of the last fights. Kenji goes for another engage, doesn't find a knock up there with the grand entrance. Topo with the Call of Forge God will only find the Rel. And so a lot of tools, a lot of engaged ultimates used, aren't able to find anything. Doxa even tries to go for a Miracle Magnet Storm. And now Gentle Hearts can continue the push.
I think he's just trying to cycle the ultimates. I think he wants to pick up a different one, although I will agree that the Magnet Storm is probably just the best that you can take here. They're just trying to get this outer turret. They have Baron spawning in 2.5 minutes as well, so they can spend as long as they want on this engage. Good scatter.
Ultimate in from King Clueless, a huge engage from Sandwich, and Kenji will go down immediately. Barai getting locked in, has to go away, but a double kill now for the Viego. Barrack on the flank. This could be a huge fight for King Clueless in his first game on the group stage, but he goes down to Barai. But it will be traded back as the rest of his teammates are here to avenge him as Gentle Hearts gamers go 4 for 1.
That'll be the mid inhibitor, and Gentle Hearts, man, what a great game. A lot of the carries going completely flawless in this one. Doxa just going to use the ultimate to try to clear the wave, but it is just completely null and void. They just end this one out. This is a great game coming out from them.
A dominating performance for Gentle Hearts in what was expected to be our closest seeding matchup of the day. They will take game 1 of the best of 3 and move one step closer to a matchup against Mirage Alliance.
Fantastic job, and Komodo, I think, back to the drawing board with that one. They were a little too passive. I think that they, we talked about how important mid lane was going to be. I don't think they threatened Senna enough. There was a good job of protecting Senna in the mid lane from Gentle Hearts. And for Komodo now, like, your game plan kind of has to be like, is there anything we can do against Barrack? I don't know, like, what can we do against the mid lane? Because Doxa has the tenure. He has the resume, I think, you literally just go to his Leaguepedia and it is stacked with, great performances, some pretty decent teams. But this game was just not it. There was, I think, a lot left to be desired for the squad.
And we'll see if they can turn it around, because when all the pieces are running, this team looks so good. It's just been the struggles of trying to get to that point at a consistent level for Komodo. We're going to take a short break. We'll see if the reverse sweep happens after this.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LCS Challengers League qualifiers. If you are not aware, there is a lot of League of Legends being played right now from North America. Not only this stream, also we have Qualifiers versus Keelix the Grandpa Gamers on twitch.tv/RallyForHigh and the NACL playoffs kicking off on the LCS_Challengers. Maryville versus Team Liquid, Fear versus Wildcard. There are 4 series going on right now that have huge implications in the state of developmental League of Legends here in NA, and you should be tuned into all of them if you're not already.
Yeah, for real. I mean, hit up the multi-Twitch, guys. Like, that's one of the most important parts. If you can try to support all the streams, go ahead. If you can only watch one, stay tuned to this one. I mean, maybe we might get in trouble because we're the qualifier stream if we try to tell people not to watch Challengers League. Either way, moving on, we have our second game here of the series where going up against Komodo, like, Gentle Hearts kind of took care of business. They did exactly what their composition is expected to. We want to see a 3-game series, not only because we want to see our teams kind of make sure that they're staying up to par with each other, but also we want to see a lot more from Komodo as a roster. They got seeded particularly high. They're one of the other teams, one of the majority of teams that actually got their original seeding given to them from the selection committee. But like they got stomped, and it was just good play coming out from Gentle Hearts.
Yeah, I think from top to bottom, they executed on their composition, which we had our reservations about going into the game. Are they too early game focused? Is Cinna and Clueless, are they going to mesh together well and get advantages for their team? The answer was certainly yes. And so that worked pretty well for them. We'll see if they replicate that strategy, as both teams have opted to stay on the same sides for this Game 2 draft.
Yeah, Komodo did lose, so they have side select. They chose red, really wanting to prioritize the counter picks. I don't know if bans are really going to change all that much. We'll see. It is on Komodo. When you pick the same side, for Gentle Hearts, they don't have to fix everything. Taking away the Xayah, I think, is a perfectly fine addition. Make sure that you get that away from Scoop. Now, I wonder what champion he is going to end up going for, because he has mostly been an Aphelios player. I think the biggest addition to his champion pool within the last couple months has been Varus, at least for competitive play. That was something that he was missing in spring, and now here in summer, he has really started to pick that champion up. But it means Rel is up again. When you are on red side, you kind of just have to pick up whatever OPs are left. Komodo looking towards that Kai'Sa, and without Poppy as well, all right, so LeBlanc was something that they banned, this time picking it up for Doxa.
As Summer has called them, the Shiv sisters, getting locked in for Komodo on 1-2. Got both of the champions that can still use that item successfully. One for Doxa, one for Barai. We'll see Barai on the Kai'Sa once again. Gentle Hearts have to respond. Will Cinna lock something in now, or will they go for the standard jungle bot lane pick here? The Renekton, also a good option, did very well in game number 1.
Okay, so they just have the read from Topo that this guy's only going to play tanks. Because there's no reason for Barrack to be blinding Renekton on 2, because they think that, they prioritize this Renekton very heavily. Otherwise, they would obviously just pick a different champion. But if you know this guy is going to be picking tanks, just pick whatever matchup you want. It just doesn't matter. You know what he's going to go for. You know generally what champions he's going to have. So looking forward to what comes of it. They pick up the Annie on the side of Gentle Hearts. So a lot of engage, a lot of threat onto the back line here. So Komodo, what are your tanks? What is your front line going to look like? Are you going to try and go for that Alistar? Do you go for Nautilus for some backline access? Either way, magic damage galore here for Komodo. And seems like instead, again, we're getting more and more of those shivs, which means that Doxa, lots of eyes on him. He has, again, tools to the kingdom to be able to split push, to be a side lane menace.
And the Kenji Alistar going to round out the bot lane for Komodo as well. I feel like Kai'Sa Alistar is something that is a bot lane that Kenji, we're very happy to play. You can always engage, you can always force all-ins, and so that will be very helpful for them against this Rel. Also a good matchup in that support. To 1v1. Heading to the second phase of bans, we'll see how much protection Komodo want to give towards Doxa. Kitsuo playing the Sejuani in the last game will not do that again this time around.
Looking towards junglers, I mean, I'm kind of worried here because you have a feeling that Rel can go jungle, so like Kitsuo, by getting rid of the Sejuani, you're getting rid of one of your tools. AD junglers are going to be very high in demand right now for Komodo. Wukong, Viego for Kitsuo. Lee Sin, like we talked about in game one, is always a Kitsuo special. So we'll see what they have ready for them. I'm kind of interested to see if maybe we see more Ivern. I think Ivern is still very OP, and people should be looking more at this champion because it is just too OP, man. Like Ivern is so disgusting. I played like 3 games of Ivern on when they reworked him, like the full AP variant where he's just like solo lane everybody, and it was just ill. Like this champion is not okay. Like him, Rumble, Kaisa, Red. Like you have a whole squad right there. You have a whole 5-man ready to go.
It is refreshing to see some new OPs take the rift, but it doesn't look like Komodo think that is the case, Dimitri, as the Viego will get locked in for Kitsuo in the jungle. No tree for our good friend Kitsuo this time around.
Sad. They also missed a ban, so
true.
That sucks. I'm going to hope that's maybe just an error on our side. Maybe they immediately communicated it to the refs and the enemy team, but we have not heard anything, so we'll let you know. For Gentle Hearts Gaming, in terms of jungle, they're going to go for that all-in. They want to try and go for a dive here. Up against Kaisa and LeBlanc, I think, is a little risky, but especially when you have so much setup between an Annie and a Rel, I think it's perfectly fine. Being able to turn out the lights will also stop you from having that side lane threat TP into team fights. So, Scooped, picking up the Vayne.
Yeah,
we saw this in some of their Swiss games.
This should be fun. Again, kind of a composition that's a little bit all over the place, which is going to be an interesting one to watch develop. Scooped will be able to shred through some of the front line, though, with this Vayne. We'll do pretty good into Kenji in the bottom lane. Topo likely to get shredded as well. And we'll see if Gentle Hearts are able to execute on this composition the same way that they were able to in game one. Because in theory, a lot of the pieces remain similar in terms of what they want to do.
Yeah, Mirage just doesn't get to play this game. Bad matchup in AD carry. There's an Annie on the enemy team. You're a relatively short-ranged marksman, and Nocturne is just going to be spamming ult and playing it. So like AD carry is just absolutely miserable to play this game. The rest is going to have to come from Dox and Kitsuo. This mid jungle is a very, very potent 2v2. And early on, I am looking for what these two can do before Nocturne can hit level 6. Because I don't think Nocturne should be allowed to get onto LeBlanc. There's too many distortions. After the ultimate is gone, like this should just not be a thing that is allowed. And looking at it, it's like, there's a lot of dive. There's so much dive. There's a lot of tools to be able to turn off vision, which is an important part of this game. I'm kind of looking at what Komodo can do because they should be able to get mid push relatively early. Before level 6, that should be available for them. And then Annie is looking to just try to drop Tibbers and force bad backs onto the opponent mid laner.
That is a pretty sound game plan for them, and for Komodo, they need this win for multiple reasons. I think their confidence, just getting that up, forcing a competitive series against the side of Gentle Hearts will be important for them, even if they do end up falling down to the lower bracket. And of course, going for that win, getting these players with tons of experience, Kitsuo, Doxa, and Kenji, 3 collegiate champions at some point. Having them pick up a win would be very, very nice for them to have, and just showing the world that this is still a team that can be contested and can be a pretty solid roster. We will have the bracket, I believe, ready to take a look at to see who, what the group could end up shaping out as. And as we said earlier on in the day, Middlesticks could be a pretty valid opponent for whoever loses this game. So this series has another level of importance on top of it.
Yeah, the form that we see this team should definitely give us a little bit more information as to what we'll be looking at for Return to the Middlesticks. I think right now they should still probably be decompressing from getting absolutely slaughtered by Mirage Alliance. It was close in some instances, but I think that game was kind of doomed for a little bit. We got some looks. Komodo and Gentle Hearts, though, if Gentle Hearts keep showing us this form, I think they could very easily try to, put up a performance versus Mirage Alliance, whereas Komodo, I feel now, need to buy a little bit of goodwill for not only us, but for the community sentiment, because this is a team that has been spotty. We talked about the roster in Qualifier 1 having Sarcasm in support. Aaron, you had like 2 different junglers on the team, and we talked about how even in that roster, Doxa can be 10-0 or 0-10. Here and now, the roster seems like it is in a slightly better position, but not one that is that far away from where we saw in the first qualifier. And if that's the case, then this is a top 8 team that is not going to, this is Komodo's 9th, right?
I think they're 8th,
Komodo's 8th. That's a top 8 team that is just not making it in.
And yeah, with the play of Gentle Hearts right now, you could make that argument unless we see something really good from Komodo the rest of this series. Remember, Gentle Hearts had probably one of the more exciting games of the entire group stage last qualifier as the Cheese Chasers when they played against Team Ambition. Even though that series kind of went Team Ambition's way, we saw some good stuff out of a lot of the players on that roster. And so they have proved that they could be competitive with some of the top teams in this tournament. And maybe a matchup against Mirage Alliance could be another opportunity for them to prove that again.
Oh my god. That'd be insane. I think if Mirage Alliance, obviously going first in their group is expected. They are one of the heavy favorites to win this whole tournament. We said this last qualifier and that backfired on them. And even across the other groups, I know we were talking about our other teams that we're playing currently. You know, we have our Group B matches going on with Team Coachify versus Kellex Grandpa Gamers. Teamless Revenge beat Team Ambition. So already that group is going topsy-turvy immediately. Team Ambition unable to get first seed. And you know what that means, actually?
Yeah.
There is a possibility. I need to double check. I can double check my sheet here. Group B was Kellex Grandpa Gamers. There is a real possibility that we get Mirage. The whole point of seeing Team Ambition and Mirage Alliance in grand finals was completely predicated on the fact that Team Ambition were expected to get first in that group.
Oh my gosh.
That is no longer the case, and they can meet yet again in the semifinals. They're going to be on the same side of the bracket.
The whole point was that we got to watch the grand finals, and they had to mess it up. So, not great. Now we're rooting for Gentle Hearts to beat Mirage Alliance, so they could both be second seeds.
Oh man, I have to tell Mad Magicals it's not possible anymore. Him and I were getting super hyped. He like talked about it. He was like, "Oh man, we get to see him in grand finals. That's so cool." I was like, "Yeah, this is great."
Come on,
and I was just gonna show him these results. It just ruined his day, unfortunately. But yeah, we've got our game here. Gentle Hearts, one more game, and they're gonna be moving on to the upper bracket. Komodo gonna need to put 2 on the board, but it starts here, right? It starts with this game too.
And all of that can be wiped away if Komodo put up a good performance. Right now, Gentle Hearts looking like they're in a very solid position. Scooped on the Vayne is going to start to hurt once we get a couple items. And oh man, I'm excited to watch him work on this champion already. Sandwich, who has looked very good on this rel the entire series, forcing a flash.
Yeah, been finding really good engages. And, you know, hey, level 1, you're a real champion compared to Alistar. So getting the flash away from Barai is really good. Thank you, Scoop. This is exactly what you need to do when you're playing AD carry or playing really any lane. When the lane is stuck on the opposing side, throw up the emotes. Get in their head. You know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to be like, he's emoting me, man. Like, this is... I have to call for my jungler. Both junglers are pathing down here, but I don't expect for King Clues to really cross the river unless it's to match Kitsuo on a gank.
Yeah, once you're level 6, that's when you really start going. And in a way, that is what has changed a tad with this composition for Gentle Hearts. You are looking a little bit more towards that mid game because you have Scooped and you have King Clueless now, who both spike a little bit later in the game. And now having Cinna on the Annie as more of a facilitator than the Syndra as more of a carry last time around. So you have the playstyle changing a tad this game as Doxa getting a good trade in the mid lane. Sandwich, though, around to make sure he doesn't get too spicy.
I like this. Gentle Hearts going for a 3-wave crash so they can try to get Scooped into a better position here. Trying to do a bit of a cheater recall. Will mean that he misses out on some of the farm. You really can't try to get away with this. Actually, he hasn't missed any minions yet. Wait, they need to stop hitting minions. Komodo. Okay, good. Barai stopped hitting, so he's going to miss 1. I'm trying to count minions, but his stupid HP bar is in the way. Colonel, I'm trying to sneak around, but the HP bars are too dummy
They're
thick.
too thick.
We'll spot out Kitsuo on this engage. And Scooped is here. They should know nothing's going to happen. They're trying to crush this one.
Yeah, this is...
I was expecting maybe they try to go for a dive, but just more so information collection.
That would have been the one opportunity for them to actually punish Scooped on this cheater recall there. Sitting at level 2. Maybe if Kitsuo found an opportunity to dive, but would have been very risky with Sandwich on the rel right there to defend. So instead, it will be Mirai going for a reset of his own, picking up 2 long swords, Scoops 1, and you know, continuing this ping pong match that we have been seeing all game in the bot side.
One thing to note as well is Scooped, he does have the call, so trying to make sure that he gets his item alongside Mirai if he's able to. Senna in a bad spot here. Doxa found some really good trades already, and I just heard flashes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Alistar got behind him!
Senna in a lot of trouble right now. The 2-man Incinerate plus the W from downtown. Mirai picks up first blood for Komodo.
I was wondering what they were looking for there, and I heard the flash before we moved away. I was like, huh? What's going on here? So, good job from them. Not only did they get the flash, they get the TP as well away from Senna. So, good job from the side of Komodo. Getting some early game plan, something we didn't see all too much in game 1.
Yeah, first kill on the board. Scoop's able to crash this wave, but Mirai's going to have a ton of time to clear out the rest of these minions. Other than the plate being lost, it is a win for Komodo off of that play. Now Gentle Hearts going towards the bottom side, trying to make a play either around trying to kill Mirai or going for the dragon. They're going to choose the latter and most likely pick up this Ocean Drake.
Between between Vayne and Nocturne, should be pretty easy for them to clear this one out. 2.5 minutes before the Rift Herald is even going to be able to spawn, so very easy timer for Gentle Hearts to be able to go for. And it means that 15 minutes time, we should be looking at a soul for them if everything goes to plan for Gentle Hearts. Need to be careful around topside though. You already see how they've split the map right now. Doxa can easily move topside. Kitsuo's already on his way there. Barrick, while he does have Dominus, half HP, and top lane's being used. The ultimates are being used.
Barrick maybe in some trouble. Here's a huge stun onto Kitsuo. Has enough fury.
What is this champion?
Wins the 1v2. He gets Kitsuo, and Topo has to flash away.
There is no heartbreaker there for Kitsuo, but if it's not in the ultimate, it's in that play right there. He goes 1-0 versus the topside gank. The bot wave's frozen as we see Scoop throwing up the thumbs up. Bry and Kenji, they need to try to find a play. Something else needs to go right for Komodo because that play just went absolute sideways for them.
Yeah, what a play. What a career trajectory for this guy in Barrick, right? I mean, he actually took a year away from school to focus on playing competitive league. Didn't have the greatest time in the first split, but now on Gentle Hearts, on this team, got to play in the EG Combine. This guy has looked better and better with every week that we've seen him in 2023. And now Gentle Hearts making a play onto the bottom side, a 2-man stun, plus a condemn onto Kitsuo, who is not having a good time in this game whatsoever. He will fall for the second time in a row as Mirai has to use both of his summoner spells to escape.
And now Kitsuo is just so far behind at this point. They didn't get the scuttle, but getting more kills, forcing the recall out, or putting the enemy bot lane into a bad position. Mirai and Kenji, they were trying to recall, but they're saying, this wave is terrible for us. We need to pick this one up. So, good job from them. I mean, now Kitsuo, he really needs to focus on farming, at least get the level 6. And just, I mean, it's crazy to think that the consequence of that play topside means that there's another kill and it goes over to King Clueless. You saw Scoop moving on forward, just was completely uninhibited. All of these champions are really hard to deal with pre-6 as what Gentle Hearts have. You look at Komodo, when you have the killer instinct, it's playable. When you have the Heartbreaker on Kitsuo, it's playable. But before that, you are really indexing on trying to outplay your opponents, and that is just not happening. Gentle Hearts are winning the hands.
And you know, they did all that before King Clueless unlocked the Paranoia. So we talked about having global pressure a little bit later in the game for Gentle Hearts, but they were still able to find a couple of plays for themselves. Now looking towards this Rift Herald with level 6 on Clueless. Call the Forge God does come out, but the Paranoia going right in onto the Ornn with Barrick on his side. Papa will be able to get away. Now Komodo with 4 strong make their way to the objective, and they might be the ones to start it up.
I think right now for Gentle Hearts, you have to just give this objective. You already see where Scooped is. He's actually crushing a pretty huge wave here. Senna doing the same thing. He's going to be able to move in first. 2 minutes before the Dragon, that's their next objective, right? Is for them to be able to set this up. Kenji, wondering if he was maybe going to try and go for that flash, but gives that over to Barai. And this is just plates going over to the Vayne, which is not what you want to see if you're Komodo. We'll see what they can get from this Rift Herald. It will buy them a little bit of time, and they need to be able to use it within the next 4 minutes. They want to try to get this before the plates fall.
Oh, look at that on the other side. Scooped got 2 plates off of that one play. That is effectively the entire Rift Herald buff. But you don't have to split it between players. You instead can give it towards Kitsuo. Meanwhile, in the top side, another 1v2 happening for Barrick under the tower. What the hell is happening here? Barrick with one more Q secures himself a double kill and secures domination in the top lane.
Okay, Barrick's just the GOAT, no?
Yeah.
Like, Barrick's just the GOAT of the NACL Qs. Like, he's gotten 2 different solo kills, both of them in 1v2 situations, and now he's done it both to Kitsuo and Topo, who's gonna have to, he doesn't even have teleport for this. So they got 6 plates between all of this so early on. Barely gonna get this one in mid as well. Pre-10 minutes. An insane start. And Scooped now actually going for the static shift to try to fix some of Vayne's issues of wave clear. Wow, what an insane early game. And again, we thought this was maybe gonna try to go for 3. Grapes, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if we get to 3. This game's looking quite doomed for Komodo.
I mean, there's even more scaling on Gentle Heart's side than there was in game number 1. Scooped has now 4 plates, basically solo. That first one was, shared, I think, with Sandwich, but man, what a good game coming out from Gentle Hearts gamers. There were questions about whether these roster changes were downgrades or if this was the move for a roster like this that did pretty well in the first qualifier, but they're looking poised, they're looking strong. And that matchup against Mirage Alliance could be an exciting one, as another solo kill happens in the top lane.
Oh my god. What is happening, man? Like, he blinded this champion! Like, that was the whole point. We talked about it in draft. Barrick blinds Renekton into Topo. The 50 CS? This guy has barely 60! He is at, like, level 7 at 11 minutes.
Yeah, I guess it's not even worth it going panning the camera to the top lane because we know what's going to happen. And so instead, we're going to focus on this Dragon fight as Kitsuo will secure it for Komodo, but a huge Magnet Star comes out from Sandwich and King Clueless dashes onto the backside as well. But Scoop gets collapsed upon and taken out. Both AD carries are down, but now Sandwich lands the engage and they get another big kill onto Kitsuo. And Senna will dash forward, trying to get a little bit more damage onto Kenji. The stun going to connect. Clueless does not have enough range. They will try to chase down under the tier 1, but not find a kill. The Incinerate will kill a Doxa as he steps a little bit too far forward. Gentle Hearts gamers on top.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. That fight was played pretty awfully, man. Like, Scooped has flash. He walks straight into Alistar, even though there's a Nocturne, and then is walking still into Kitsuo. Gets the stun. They get that shut down. They find 1 kill. A couple kills on the back end of that play, but all in all, I think it's still kind of full. Like, it's a Pyrrhic victory for Komodo, right? Like, they go even on kills. Topside is obviously still losing. Scooped, they shut him down. They got the Dragon for themselves, but they also lost a turret, so it's like 60-40 for Gentle Hearts, but again, they're the ones that are extremely far ahead, and so any part where you're able to go even slightly even as Komodo is a win. It's difficult. I think you can make an argument for it. Scooped, really good condemn.
Oh my god, this guy, too good at this game. Gentle Hearts, very good at this game right now. They're up 6,000 gold at the 13-minute mark. And it might be a sweep incoming for them as topside just completely belongs to the blue team. Barrick, 4-0 now, has that full mythic item completed. Komodo trying to make a stand, but even with a numbers advantage, they don't want to go in onto the Croc.
Jesus Christ, Barrick, you're level 11. What do you do in this situation, right? Like, he has Gore Drinker. He's so tanky that LeBlanc can't kill him, especially because they have the static shiv. Oh, Kenji. Okay. Doxa's here.
Is he engaged?
We're
Magnus Storm
re-engaging.
lands on to 3 as a teleport will come in from Topo. Sandwich goes a little bit too
Oh,
far
no!
and is taken out by Barai. They land the knock-up onto Barrick. Has not used the Dominus just yet. Will now be able to keep himself alive with the flash away from the Heartbreaker, but he is singled out and shut down by Doxa. Komodo find the turn that they need.
Okay, that was again a massive mechanical misplay from Gentle Hearts. Barrick, he used the Empower W on the control ward. Like, that's obviously not where that stun's supposed to go. And they're missing out on so many abilities. Scoop just taking way too much damage early on without the Condemn. He is very, very susceptible to the dive of Komodo. So that shutdown going over to Doxa is huge for them. They try to find this play. Fear still goes off.
Doxa with a distort. King Clueless has the opportunity to continue to chase. That Q giving him a lot of damage, and Doxa has to distort once again to keep himself alive.
Yeah, that's exactly why we just never use this ability on that champion. Like, good job to get the flash away from him, but you basically just got rid of flash 1 of 3 from LeBlanc. So we'll see how useful that'll be. If this turns into an actual pick, then hey, good job for you. But that is a flash that will not be available in a minute's time. Gentle Hearts think the game getting a little bit away from them as they were up 6,500 gold. That's starting to shrink as more and more of these shutdowns, more kills start to go over. But they are still a menace to be feared. And getting into the pit will be very important for them as wanting to make sure they can keep up that Dragon Soul. It is an Infernal Drake, and a lot of their team members are just building raw stats. Not a lot of just straight up tanks on this roster, so being able to kind of flex that into extra damage is very, very good for them.
Yeah, the assassination potential for Doxa and Barai definitely does exist. You can get one of these kills, but resets from Kitsuo could prove big. Doxa checking the second Rift Herald, but looks like Gentle Hearts will still pick this one up. Maybe the Dragon becomes a target as both teams hunting for their second.
Okay. Dragon is, I mean, this is still a perfect timing. Really good job from Gentle Hearts to be able to find this Rift Herald right before the Dragon is spawning. They should be able to also still move in and clear vision out. They want to grab this mid-tier 1. If they can grab this, they can set up a very good spot for themselves. And I know we were talking about how far ahead Barrick was. I will say the unfortunate part is that Ornn is still the Ornn champion.
Yep.
So he will still do all the same Ornn things that Ornn does, but maybe just with a little less Ornn on top of it. He is still, I mean, he doesn't have a mythic, but he's still going to get those upgrades. Really good flank from Kenji here.
Here they go, right on to the Ornn, and he's not going to be able to Ornn much longer. King Clueless now on a killing spree as they find the pick, and that'll send them right to Drake.
Orange is sad that he goes down here, Toppotamus. Dox is doing that side lane threat. They've got Rift Herald as well spawning in, and objective bounties. That's the only thing that Dox is really going to be able to play for. This Rift Herald is an absolute traitor. Goes bot lane for some reason. Don't think that was what they were expecting. Maybe expecting for them to get mid.
Yeah, you gotta get a proc. Not the worst thing, but although the tower not able to go down, kind of split resources means that Gentle Hearts will be able to get no towers instead of potentially 1. So a little unfortunate, but they do get the Dragon and maybe making a push onto this turret again.
I'd feel pretty ornery if
What are we doing? What are we doing, man?
What? I'm just using the O. Good job from Doxa. Good hands, good hands.
I don't know if
Good
he's alive
hands.
though. That's
Bad hands, bad hands,
Yeah.
bad hands, bad clicks.
Scooped with the Triforce, able to pick up his first kill of the game as Gentle Hearts press their advantage. Now with the numbers advantage, looking towards the mid-tier 1, the wave clear out of Scoop should be enough to take it down.
Well, kind of just waiting for Komodo to kind of make their stand. Don't know if it's here. Don't know if this is the play.
They're
Diego's
fully
on the
committing.
flank.
Here comes the ulti, the jump in from Kitsuo, but Doxa not
Look at
able to get
Scoop.
into the fight, and Sinna will go golden to keep himself alive. Scoop is free hitting on the backside, and will pick up a double kill, looking for more as Barai's the next target. He flashes over the headbutt, and Scoop gets a quadra kill.
Oh, born to lose at this point for Komodo. Gentle Hearts Gaming AD carry wanting to show off 5-1-3 on this vein. It was one mistake, and I think he wanted to make it his last. What a huge fight for them. Gets a massive amount of gold as well. And that pick on Doxa immediately turns into more kills here for Gentle Hearts. 14-5 here with that single fight. He is 3,000 gold up, and it is 10k in total for his team at 18.5 minutes.
Oh man, a huge lead. Was honestly maybe even a bigger stomp of a series than the first series that we watched, which was the 1 versus 16 seed. That is showing us how good Gentle Hearts is looking right now in this series and potentially for the rest of the qualifiers. Remember, if they want to make it into the promotion tournament, they need a little bit of help from the top 4 teams and one of them knocking out early, or they need to win the whole thing. And they're putting themselves in the best position they possibly can.
Well, 2.5 minutes before that, Drake got Baron spawning in a minute, right? Like, this is so tough. Basically, the items that Komodo are at right now are the items that they're going to be at for this fight. And that is very dangerous as they are so far behind. Oh my god, Doxa is dead.
You did dodge away from the Nocturne ult. Maybe that's enough to trade a kill back. He distorts away from Cinna, but will go down with sandwich away. Oh, playing some mind games, dodges away. Tibbers has to be used to take out Doxa, as he made it as hard as he possibly could.
No Doxa diff occurring right here. Barrick, you are in no man's land, brother.
Dashes away. The Call of Force God will still not come up. He has flash, he has ultimate. He will use the first, not the second. Here he goes. Dominus out, but there is too much damage even with the Gore Drinker as he will go down. However, he's bought enough time for Scoop to join the party. Sandwich in the knockup, and that will be the second kill for Gentle Hearts Gamers. Scoop going to continue to chase forward with the final hour on top of him. Look at the damage he does to Toppo with the silver bolts, as this game is all done and dusted. Gentle Hearts with a huge lead.
He's making Project Vayne look so good in this position here. They should be able to shred that Baron like you were talking about. And Gentle Hearts Gaming, they want to make this look like a pretty easy game. You would have told me who's the 8th and 9th seed, I would have said Gentle Hearts with how they're playing. And a very big wake up for this team. We talked about it a little bit, about the format between all of the different stages here of the qualifiers. Best of ones just not seeming to be it here. As the Turbo Baron buff goes over to the side of Gentle Hearts. They fell in so many so many games of the Swiss, and now it feels like they've kind of leveled up a little bit. They're obviously feeling a lot more confident in their play, but they've just not missed a beat so far in the series.
Yeah, and having these new pieces come in and look really good with Cinna and King Clueless doing their jobs as facilitators for the rest of these carries, Barrack and Scooped. It's been a good look for Gentle Hearts so far, and I am optimistic of the way that they can continue to play moving forward in this tournament. And right now, they're going to put the finishing touches on the Komodo, as Barrack with the Baroned up minions and the Turo Baron buff in hand will help them push down onto the tier 2 finally, and now the rest of the base under fire.
Well, Komodo, it's been nice. We'll see you in the lower bracket versus Return of the Middlesticks. There's just like, you need to just full send on engages. When you're this far behind.
There they go. Looks like it's going to be the full send on the other side as Gentle Hearts goes all the way in. They haven't found a kill just yet, but here comes Barrack. He's slicing, he's dicing, and he's winning this fight for Gentle Hearts. He got the first kill onto Komodo, and it looks like Kitsuo and Toppo will be the casualties. Doxa has to distort away. They land the root, but it's not enough damage to even get one back as Gentle Hearts are pushing in.
That'll be the end of the game here, and a really dominant showing from them, from our teams on the stream today. Our 1st and 9th seed putting in work, wanting to be dominant. They want to skip the GSL groups. They'll get a matchup next weekend to see who's going to have to skip that final game and who's to take the 1st seed of the group.
A big win, a big sweep for Gentle Hearts. Not just for the seeding and everything, but just instill confidence in this newfound roster. They will have a date with Mirage Alliance in the upper bracket.
Fantastic stuff, and this was the Gentle Hearts Gaming I was expecting coming in. We got our predictions right. I'm so sorry to, to Summer and Nyarko. We were able to grab that one. I am very proud. I love when I'm right. We've just got to take the wins where we can at this point, because there's a couple games where I was wrong. So we already got the Return of the Middlesticks vote coming in. But it's just a fantastic game. And remember, this is a top 8 team. The fact that they're seeded 9th, I think, is a little strange. But this is a team that didn't change all that many pieces. They changed their mid and jungle, and they lost 1 seed, and they're outside of making top 8.
They're in a good position to get into top 8 now. Yeah. Not only because they have a series against Mirage Alliance to try to do it themselves, but with the way that they played against Komodo here, you have to imagine if they face off again in that final matchup, it would be Gentle Hearts who are favored to make it out unless some serious adjustments happen on Komodo's side, which of course could happen, but again, we have yet to see this roster that has been super talented make their way to the top spot like we wanted to see from them this split. So they'll have another opportunity here. It will be do or die against Middlesticks for Komodo, as one more loss is going to end their season.
For sure. And I think for right now, there's just a lot of league action. That's going to be, we're going to have one more interview, hopefully with the winners here on the side of Gentle Hearts Gaming. But if you want to stick around, if you're still looking for some more action, our other series on Rally Cry Official is still going on. Challengers League Playoffs is currently going as well. So if you need gameplay and you need it to just like immediately right into your veins, you can go and hopefully you've got those multi-Twitch up. But we'll be right back, and hopefully we will have that interview ready for you guys.
The LCS Challengers League is brought to you by Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. Find your drive.
Welcome back, everybody. The LCS Challengers League qualifiers stream. We are here with an interview with Victorious Scooped, the bot laner for Gentle Hearts Gamers, who took that 2-0 over Komodo. Scooped, congratulations on the win. Before we get into the game and the series as a whole, a bit of a different roster coming in for this team, and also a new name. Do you want to walk us through what happened between the first and second qualifiers to get you guys where you are right now?
Yep. So pretty much Kara had to go on vacation. Needed a new team, the jungle. Eugene didn't want to play anymore, and then we saw he played with another roster and then beat us in the first game.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, man, it's the revenge tour, but okay. So you guys had to kind of adapt on the fly then.
Yeah, pretty much. But Sinmin and Clues are pretty good, so luckily they came in clutch.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to ask, like, how are you feeling about your chances of, making top 8? In terms of points, you guys are, I think you feel very comfortable about this. You are literally right outside top 5 or top 4 again. You have the highest amount of points because of all the roster changes. So what is the team feeling, or maybe you can speak to just for yourself, like, about going through this group, making it, and kind of trying to make a run potentially for getting into top 4?
Yeah, so I don't think I've ever played in like Proving Grounds, so that's like one time. Like I just want to play like in Proving Grounds and then play in Academy, pretty much.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I'm just hoping we can like make it past quarters, because I think that's all we need. Hopefully we don't get like a really unlucky seeding, but I think we can be any team, honestly. Like I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, so right now in terms of points, you're hoping for one of the top 4 teams, which is TA, Winthrop, Mirage Alliance, or Lit, to drop out early, and then you making it a finals run. Or if you guys win the whole tournament, then you obviously qualify as the number 1 seed.
Yeah,
so,
you'd need to go to, basically you'd have to go 2 stages further than Lit, because you're 65 points and the lowest is Lit at 105. So either just win, which again, very free, or make it a lot further than Grapes. What were you?
No, I was about to say, yeah, just win.
Okay.
And it would be against your old friend in Plux as
Dude,
well. So
if we
could
can beat Dragoon and Messages, that'd feel so good.
True.
Not let them qualify. Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Scooped, overall, how are you feeling, like, individually as a player? Because you're part of Native last year, which had a lot of high expectations, and you, I think, played pretty well throughout the entire split and have been playing well here again in the summer, but still on the outside looking in terms of making it into the promotion tournament, making it into the NACL. But in terms of your individual skills and stuff, what are some things you think you're doing well and some things that maybe you want to continue to improve on to finish out the year?
I guess I'm considered like pretty good for like amateur. I think I'm doing pretty well in aspect, but obviously there's like a reason why I'm not like picked up, so I just have to like figure that out and then try to get picked up, I guess, or just promote.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, just promote for it.
Just promote, just win.
Look, I'm kind of, since you brought it up, not really being able to play in Proving Grounds. You had that one time on No Team.
It was No Team, yeah.
Yeah, with Dragoon, Griffin, Blaze, and Plux. How does it feel to see some of those names still kind of like obviously playing? Griffin is still over in Korea, but like you have Dragoon who is here playing. You have Plux who actually is stepping in for Lit. Like, does it feel cool? Like, what is when you play against like old teammates? Is it like I really want to beat them, or I just like hang out with the boys? Like, you enjoy that aspect of being able to compete?
Yeah, you always just like really want to beat them. Like losing to Lit kind of sucked, losing to like Dragoon and Messages.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's always fun like playing against old teammates. I was talking to Plux too. I was like really surprised he had to sub in. Just like I thought he was done with League, but he's back.
Oh, I think he was surprised too. Don't worry. I think he was surprised too.
Hey, well, Scoop, looking ahead, Mirage Alliance, your next matchup here. That's some players that pretty highly regarded, have been to that stage before. What are your expectations or plans against that team next week?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun playing against Neo. I think he's like for sure the best AD in the tournament. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be like a good game to prove myself.
Okay.
So if we can win, that'd be nice.
Do you have any words for Sudzi? Former
Oh,
teammate?
shoot, Sudzi,
Long
yeah.
time?
Man.
So let's see, got the bag, bro. What else is there to say?
Respect. Okay.
Yeah, throw
All
back to
right,
the
well,
revival days. That's crazy.
yeah, that's an old call out. Scooped, is there any shout outs? Floor is yours for anything before we close out.
Shout out Gentle Hearts Gaming, I guess. They gave us an org, reached out, so that was cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Manager.
Well, yeah. Scoop, thank you very much for stopping by and talking to us. We're wishing you luck next week against Mirage Alliance. That spot in the quarterfinals up for grabs. And yeah, thanks so much.
Yep, thank you.
All right, we have just a little bit more to do before we wrap up this stream. Take a look at the bracket to see how exactly things will be looking like next week in Group A. See Mirage Alliance and Middlesticks making their way through. Now, Gentle Hearts will have that matchup against Mirage, and Komodo making their way down to play against Middlesticks.
What an insane kind of bracket we've got up here. I think, at least according to a lot of our predictions, we expected this, but that lower bracket matchup, I think people are going to have their eyes on with some of the fight that Return to the Middlesticks were able to give. And unfortunately, with the form that we're seeing out of Komodo, again, when you lose, you are obviously not always going to look the best. And this is going to be, again, a situation where Komodo, you are the higher seed. You need to prove that you are, going to be better than this team. I have hopes in Return to the Middlesticks, but that doesn't mean that we have to be completely unreasonable. Komodo should win this series.
Unless Dragowski comes out and, has a bit of a Chad performance. That's all I'm going to say. I think that'll be a pretty exciting one. Middlesticks and Komodo. I'm certainly excited to see how that one turns out, especially, and also the topside matchup as well. Gentle Hearts, if they can play like they're playing right now, I feel like there were times in the first qualifier where Cheese Chasers weren't always able to match the level of expectation that some of us had. It looked like they did that today. So if they can keep that going, I'm excited for that matchup in the upper bracket as well.
That'd be cool. And again, it's a fight for first place in a group. That's an additional 10 points. For Mirage Alliance, it'll help them get back up into that top 2 spot that they really want to, be coveting. But for Gentle Hearts, those 10 points could be, again, another make or break situation, being able to make top 4. Every point matters for them, especially since they are on the bubble. They are one of the teams that is looking outwards in to make it into the promotion tournament.
That's true. You're talking about Lit Esports kind of being the next team up. If they finish as the first seed, they get those 10 additional points, then it becomes even more important for Gentle Hearts to win this series against Mirage. And speaking of, we'll be having Group C and D coming your way tomorrow on both of these streams, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But otherwise, second qualifier game going on Why Rally Cry Fishing. We also have the NACL playoffs tuning in right now. So there's a lot of League of Legends to watch, Dimitri, and I don't know, which one are you going to turn to first?
Right now I want to finish this Coachify game. I got it up on the other monitor right now, actually. I'm trying to keep in touch. It seems like Coachify's doing good. City's back on Twitch. He's gliding. So I'm hopeful for that, but the great part about having 2 monitors finally is that I could just put both streams up and I can chill. So I'm looking forward to that. And Maryville versus there's just so many good teams right now, man. Literally Challengers League has 2 amazing playoff series. I know I showed you the Fear video of them jokingly subbing Minui into mid and Shoshi into bottom lane. That was a great video. Just make sure that you're supporting North American talent, whether that be here on the qualifiers or up in LCS Challengers League. It means a lot, and obviously that this show is a complete kind of testament to all of our love for them.
Yeah, thank you again to everybody behind the scenes helping to get this stream running. Shout out to Turo, our presenting sponsors, as well as all the other League of Legends fans out there that are watching us and supporting us. Love you all. We're going to say goodbye for now. We'll be right back tomorrow with more qualifiers, Group C and D, coming your way. We'll see you later.